How is it going, everybody, to episode 29 of the Stagler? Welcome. We're so happy to have you here today. May I just say that, like, you are just unrecognizable. You know, I would have, you know, maybe people don't even know who you are. Maybe they just...
And I just spent about 6 hours in the makeup chair.
In the makeup chair. Wow. You got in the makeup chair just for this podcast.
Yep.
That's amazing. Guys, please welcome to the show. Well, I mean, he needs no introduction, so don't even say your name. Let's just...
Right.
My co-host couldn't be here today, so I called in a favor from an old friend. You may know him from the upcoming... what is the film you're working on? Killers of the Flower Moon?
Yeah. Killers of the Flower Moon.
I'm glad you know.
Great picture.
I'm glad you know the title of the film that you're working on with Marty Scorsese.
Great picture.
Yeah, and your relationship with Martin, you know, what's that like? The thing you two have going on, you know?
Oh, just wonderful. I mean, what a great mind. You know, working together with him, it's just really been really eye-opening experience. It's really been quite incredible. You know, went back when I worked with him on The Departed.
Yeah. Great film. I didn't know you were in that.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much.
You were unrecognizable. Anyway, we should get on with the show. Nick will be back next episode, but for now we're stuck with this guy. So why don't you tell me what you've been doing for just recently? You know, what's going on?
Okay. Not much been going on for me personally the past couple weeks, but I did one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to did a Tenet watch along commentary. So
you definitely won't be able to understand anything anybody's saying.
So I watched Tenet again.
Okay.
It was only the second time ever since the first time we saw it way back in July. And
so how did it work? It was like a YouTube video or something, and you synced it to
on Spotify, yeah, and I just pressed play at the same time.
Gotcha.
So did that and watched the movie with them. And that was fun. But I got to put like subtitles on the movie so I could actually see what people were saying.
Yeah, something about Diet Coke or whatever.
Yeah, and I got, you know,
context.
I could kind of understand what was happening more, and then the, you know, people on the podcast helped me out a lot too. And I got the movie I think it was kind of better the second time. I'm not even gonna lie.
Really?
Because when you understand everything a little bit more, it kind of takes more of like the hurting yourself trying to figure out what's happening, and more just kind of like experiencing the movie and like the world. And it's still, I mean, it still doesn't make any sense overall. Yeah. But it was far more enjoyable, I think, the second time through.
Yeah, I guess.
Just kind of like appreciating it.
Because you don't have to try hard to be like...
Exactly.
You just get the gist.
Mm-hmm. And then you just look at the cool stuff happening, and you're
right,
like, you know what, that's cool.
The fun stuff, yeah.
So yeah, I actually enjoyed it more the second time.
That's good to hear.
It's a little better than people give it credit for, I think. But yeah, that was basically it for me, other than The Sopranos Season 4, which we will now talk about.
We've only got 5, 6A, and 6B left.
We do.
Because we'll figure out why that 6A, 6B, whatever happened, but that'll be for another time. I don't know what that's about.
And I'm sure it's just like whatever.
But Sopranos Season 4.
Yeah.
Some great scenes in this season.
Yeah, it was very good.
The big thing, maybe it's just because it happened at the end, but the real big thing that seemed to happen, two come to mind. And one, it's the whole situation with Ralph in this season, where he's got that like racehorse and kills it for the insurance money, and that sends Tony off the deep end.
Pie oh my,
sweet pie oh my, and he goes off the deep end and he
murders
Ralph. He beats him down in his own kitchen. He was gonna make him some eggs.
Yeah,
and he just goes for it. And I really, not that I didn't think he would kill him right there, but I was like, just really to the show. I was like, really, show you're having him kill him right here? I was like, okay, sure, why not? So it kind of, not to say it came out of nowhere, but it definitely didn't have too much like lead up to it, I feel, you know? So that obviously is a pretty big deal because he was a good earner for them and everything.
It was.
Just a lot of this season around like the dissolving of the trust and stuff within like the family, you know? And not just the family, but also the actual family as well. Because Carmela, poor Carmela, she's really put herself in a bad position in her life.
Yeah.
That she is severely unhappy with. She is absolutely infatuated with Furio. And I hope he's not gone. Like, honestly.
I know.
I'm kind of like, damn, is he really just out of the show? That kind of sucks. But maybe.
Yeah, that sucked.
That does suck.
He just left. He was like, can't do this.
He loves her too much, I guess. He almost freaking pushed Tony into a propeller.
How about that would have been something?
That would have been like, wow. Because that was definitely an opportunity that he had. And Tony didn't react to it too much because he was like, oh, you're standing too close. I don't want you to accidentally fall into the blades, Tony.
Yeah. What are you going to do? And then Carmela's like, you know what? I hate my life.
Yeah, let's separate. You know, is basically what you're saying. Move out of the house. That's it. That's like the very last thing that happens, basically.
Well, yeah, like the whole last episode
is
like that.
And also Melfi this season also taking a backseat because he quits the therapy this season. He's like, you know what? I think I'm good. Let's chill out with this. But of course, at the end, he's calling back, and that's gonna come back around again. How that dynamic's gonna work now that him and Carmela have this really tenuous relationship, I don't know. But it'll definitely be something. I'm glad Melfi seems to be sticking around a little bit longer. As obviously we still have 3 seasons left, but it does seem like there are going to be some storylines that, like, this doesn't feel like a story that's going to culminate all together in the end. It's going to be Melfi and Tony's things wraps up, and then Tony and the mob thing wraps. You know, it's like that. Instead of everything being involved with everything else, things are going to stay really separate, I think, throughout the end of this show, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see. And Christopher.
My boy.
Christopher, he had some drug problems this season.
Some.
Poor Cosette.
Oh my gosh, that was the worst thing I've ever seen.
That was one of the worst things I've ever seen on television or otherwise.
He just sits on it.
He just sits on her, and poor Cosette can't breathe. Her neck gets broken under his girth. And, yeah, he gets into rehab. They have an intervention. And he comes out and he looks...
Speaking of good scenes, that was when he comes home and they're all like sitting there. That was a good scene.
Yeah. But he comes to... He gets out and he seems pretty good.
He does seem to be
He's got like a caffeine thing going on, but
yeah.
Sure, go for it, man. Better caffeine. Another good scene was earlier on in the season when I think it was where Meadow like confronts Tony and Carmela. That was really early on in the season. But Meadow just having a lot more independence lately because she's moved out of the house and she's in college. She's got a new boyfriend and everything. Really, again, just having her own agency and providing another perspective on things, you know, especially with everything going on with Carmela. She was kind of like a lifeline for that. It was just very relieving to see them talk even when it was so tense.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if anybody's going to talk to her about this, it has to be Meadow. You know, there's not going to be many others that will like get through. So, I don't know.
And Adriana plays a larger role this season. Talking to the feds. I don't know what's going to go on with that. I mean, it can't end well.
Yeah, nothing's going to end well, I think.
But I feel bad for her.
Yeah, also not a lot with Not a lot with a lot of other people, actually. Now I think about it, like Paulie gets some stuff with
His mom.
his mom, and kind of being a little bit trying to play all sides right now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just seeing things like fall apart. Basically, it really just seems like all of this is gonna absolutely dissolve in the upcoming seasons,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody's gonna be able to trust anybody at a certain point. I mean, they even in this season wanted to do a hit on one of the bosses, because of the construction deal and everything, which is pretty big.
Yeah,
deal.
that was a big deal with what's his name? Jack. It's like
Santos, Jack something.
It's like Jack something.
Stack.
Anyway, the guy from New York.
Yeah, and
There's too many names.
Johnny Sack.
Johnny Sack.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. So that's a whole big thing. A lot in this season.
Oh, and there's Bobby Bacala this season with his wife died in the car accident, and then
Karen, I think.
Janice kind of steps in.
Right, that's Janice's thing this season, is getting in his pants and messing with his children.
Yeah.
And, like, making them summon their dead mom.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Yeah. Well, AJ too. AJ's got like a rich girlfriend that he hates.
Yeah, AJ, I don't even know. That dude is
what's
just
up
doing his thing.
Yeah, he's aimless this season.
He's a teenage kid.
Yeah, he's just doing whatever.
Parents don't pay attention to him, so
yeah,
he's just gonna kind of do whatever.
They really, I mean, it's like eat your dinner and that's it. That's
like
the extent of their relationships.
Exactly.
But they're busy, you know. The feds, other than what they're doing with aid, not too much outside of that. You see them kind of staking stuff out occasionally, but they're not as far in the front seat as they were in the previous season. I'm sure they'll come back in the forefront eventually.
Right. And then Junior.
Oh yeah, and his court case is his whole thing.
They get a mistrial.
Yeah.
Eventually.
I'm not sure how I felt about how much time was spent on. Like, I get that it's important, and maybe it'll have different ramifications down the line because they harassed the jury and everything.
Yeah.
But it did seem like a lot of time to spend on it, just to me. But that's just like a nitpick.
Yeah, it was like the whole season.
Yeah, it was a lot of it. But yeah, it's still good. Still good. Melfi.
Great show.
The only thing I was really missing this season was Melfi. You know.
Yeah, she really wasn't in it that much.
It's kind of a shame.
More Melfi scenes.
All Melfi. We need the spinoff that is just Melfi's life.
I don't know if that would be very interesting.
And just seeing all of her patients.
Yeah, maybe.
What if it's like she also, one of her patients is like the head of the KGB?
I don't know.
Could be interesting. Maybe Melfi is actually the mob boss.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That'd be a big plot twist.
That would be a big plot twist. So that's all for your week?
That was it for me, man.
Okay, I watched a little bit of stuff.
Okay.
I watched a movie called Crimson Peak. Guillermo del Toro, ghost story movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to spoil everything that I'm about to talk about, by the way, for all my weeks.
Okay.
It was good. It needed to be sexier, I think. Because it had Tom Hiddleston, and he was like this suitor. He like picked up this woman to like get married because he wanted her money. And this house that they're at, this Crimson Peak, is haunted by ghosts that only she can see. And it's kind of like a Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island type scenario, where it's the ghosts are actually the good guys, and they're just trying to warn her. They're like, hey, this isn't a good place to be. You should get out. But they're ghosts, and they're scary, so it's kind of tough for her to get the message. And they are very, very cool. The effects and just the designs of the ghost are very cool. They're like pure black or pure red, like ghostly skeletons, you know?
That's cool.
They're very, very neat design, and even the setting as well. It's this whole decrepit house that's literally sitting on a crimson peak of like red clay, and they're like, oh yeah, the house is slowly sinking, and you'll see clay just like rise up from the floor.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a very interesting just scenario in general. But you find out that like, oh, the Tom Hiddleston character is actually Jamie Lannister, and he loves having sex with his sister.
Cool.
But obviously they can't be together, so they get married in like he becomes like a widower to just like get money from people's families and stuff, so he can be with his sister because obviously if people knew, they would shun them. Doesn't work out for them in this movie. Tom Hiddleston actually falls in love with this woman, and the sister goes crazy because of it, and they all murder each other, and then the movie ends.
Nice.
There is something that's kind of weird because you're seeing ghosts the whole movie, but at the end, some people die and their ghosts appear like immediately.
Oh, okay.
And it's just a little strange to be like, you died like less than a minute ago, and your ghost is just like fully there. Like, I get it. If they're dead, their ghosts will be around. But it just was a little weird for me.
Yeah, because you don't really see that.
Because it was like immediately. Anyway, I recommend it. It just needed to be
sexier.
Because, like, they're incest twins or whatever, and they don't give them enough time to feel that out.
Justin says, more incest.
In My Crimson Peak. Seriously, they just, like, hug, basically, with their shirts off.
Okay.
So not enough. Anyway, I also watched, I guess I'll go in order here, a TV show, a Netflix show, called The Circle, or should I say, Le Cercle. Because I watched the French version.
Whoa.
And this, you know what The Circle is? You know English version or anything?
No, The Circle I know is the guy like Tom Hanks and like
right,
Emma
that
Watson.
one. That The Circle. No, this is a reality show.
Okay.
It is a social media competition game. What they do is they got like 8 strangers just living in these separate apartments, and they can never leave. And the only way they can communicate to each other is through social media. And basically, they have challenges and stuff, and people vote on most popular to least popular, and you rank everybody, and whoever's the lowest rank gets kicked out, and the last influencers remaining or whatever win money or something. I haven't finished it yet. I'm only halfway through. It's good. It sounds stupid, and it is. Because if you're playing a social media game, you don't have to be yourself. There's this one guy who's actually pretending to be his wife because he thinks that the lady, his hot wife, because his wife is hot, would be a lot more popular. He's like one of the top players right now.
Okay.
So it's like these guys are like flirting over text, and it's just the guy's like, how do I make this man fall in love with me? It's like, oh, I bet I'll just awe over this puppy in this picture, and I'll act really cutesy. And he's like, I am a genius. And the other guy's like, Rhea is really hot. It's just funny seeing the back and forth. And there's another one where there was this like 19-year-old kid, or they were posing as a 19-year-old kid, but it was actually 2 like 70-year-olds trying to pose as like a, you know, like a young older teen, you know?
Yeah.
And they did not do a good job. But it's just funny seeing them try to, like, they don't know what LOL means and stuff like that.
LOL.
So they're so far behind that they can't even keep up. They have like notebooks and notebooks of like different emojis, and they're like, what does this one mean? Eggplant? What? And they're pretty fun to watch. And yeah, it's just kind of a cool thing. You see some people just kind of trying to have fun, other people like being super manipulative to like win.
Yeah.
And if you get kicked out, you get to meet one of the players that you choose. So sometimes people get like really angry because they'll just be like, oh, who voted me off? And it's like, oh, them? Okay, I'll go see them. And they just go and yell at them.
Oh my gosh.
It's fun stuff. It's trash television, but it's good. It's tasty trash, you know?
That sounds fun.
But I did watch one movie yesterday at like 4 p.m. I watched Spiral from the Book of Saw.
With Chris Rock.
And Sam Jackson. And yeah, I think those are the only real names. And the guy from The Darkest Hour. Ben, or whatever his name was. I don't remember his actor's name. It was... I didn't dislike it. And it's not the worst one, I don't think.
Okay.
But it definitely could have been a lot better. At the very least, I hope it spawns another sequel so they get another shot at it. You know? I don't know how much you know about Saw.
Nothing.
In general. Well, there's a... John Kramer, I believe is his name, is Jigsaw. He's like the big murderer. He puts all these traps together that are very elaborate. And it's like, oh, it'll be very painful, but you can survive. It's just like, oh, cut off your arm and you can get out, but, you know, you just cut off your arm. But your other option is die, so... That's kind of the whole game that he's playing. And usually, well, he died like, I don't know, like 5 movies ago or whatever. That he's old news.
Okay.
But usually in his games, the whole point was they'd be bad people, and the test would have to do something with what they did bad in their life. So like one of them, she was like a junkie. So he's like, oh, you need to find like a key. It's somewhere in this 5-meter deep pile of used needles. And so it's like, oh, you want it? Well, then climb into the needle pile and just go find it. It's somewhere. And so she gets thrown down there and needles sticking all over her. And she's like, ah. And it's really rough, but, it deals with like what he deemed as her doing like wrong in her life, of her not valuing her life.
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, it's a little different because this copycat killer, who's just doing what Jigsaw used to do, is targeting cops specifically. And the very first trap in this one is a cop who he's in the middle of a train tracks and he's on like a step stool, and his tongue is clamped into like a metal vise above him, right? And the TV comes on. He's like, hey, the train's going to come in 2 minutes. You can live, but, you have to jump off the ledge and tear your tongue out with just your body weight.
Oh.
And it's like, oh, you used to lie on the witness stand and you put a lot of innocent people away. So if you don't have a tongue, you can't lie anymore. So it's that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, that punishment makes sense. But the other ones in this movie didn't really make sense.
Okay.
The one guy, they just like shot glass at him because they're like, oh, you shattered people's careers. It's like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Another one got poured hot wax on her face. I don't even get that one at all. So the traps themselves just were lacking the like personal touch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie being entirely based on cops, Chris Rock is a cop, and his dad was, and everybody in the film is interesting because it's different. It's the takedown on a systemic level.
Mm-hmm.
Now, full spoilers for here. After the movie was done, I thought of like a much better way that I think this movie could have been handled, and I'll get into that. Because you find out at the end of the film who's been killing all of these cops, all these corrupt cops, because they've all done stuff wrong.
Samuel L. Jackson.
It's not. That's who they want you to believe, but it's actually the rookie who was. Because he just got in because his dad was killed by one of the corrupt cops, so he's been planning all this since he was like 10 years old. It was like everything coming together, and he wanted to kill all the bad cops.
Okay.
And his plan at the end with Chris Rock is like, oh, I have your dad. He's in this machine. You can either shoot me and, I'll be dead, but your dad will die, or you shoot that target and you let me go and your dad is saved, right? But I get to go. And he really fucks that situation up because he calls the police on him and they see like, a silhouette with a gun and they shoot him and everything. And it's just in line with the police message in it, because it's trying to kind of be like that, like the corrupt system is not great. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. It felt really tame as any sort of satire or takedown of police. It felt really bad. The most damning thing they did was just like, quote, like domestic violence statistics amongst police officers, like at the beginning of the film. But otherwise, it felt pretty light on the actual criticism.
Yeah.
What would have been, I think, instead of just some random rookie who wasn't even really a police officer, he just did it to kill people, would have been a much better way to have a really vicious takedown on the police, would be to have the police be the Jigsaw killer. And it's like everybody in the precinct is actually, or not everybody, but enough people are in on it, and they're doing these murders. So, oh, there's these murders, then the city will give the police department more money because we need to catch these serial killers. And it's just like a self-serving thing, That would have been like a really biting, like, oh, the system is designed to kill you kind of thing. Would have been a revelation that would have been a lot more impactful, I think.
Yeah.
They didn't go for that, and I'm really sad. I honestly super wish that was the real movie, because at least that has something to it,
Yeah.
It feels like a more powerful message. But the movie we got was fine. If they make a sequel, I don't know if it's going to be the same guy setting up the traps again, because he only wants to kill cops, so I don't know how long you could ride on that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they make it like a separate copycat again. Who knows what they could do. But I would be sad if this was like the end of the franchise in general, because I think it deserves more. The fact that it's called Spiral from the Book of Saw makes me think they could come up with, it could be like anthology and be different
from the Book of Saw,
and it could be a different story, or whatever. Or they could call it
Squiggly from the Book of Saw.
Uzumaki from the Book of Saw, right? Everything like that. But if you're a Saw fan, you should go see it. If you're not, skip it, probably.
Guess I'm skipping.
Yeah.
Cha.
For sure. Yeah, that's it for me. For
Cool.
my week. That's how we do it.
It's time.
Had a good week.
For the news, man.
Newsman. Do. Do you want to actually talk about this? Or not?
Yes, because it's funny.
Okay. The New York Post is being ridiculed for saying Leonardo DiCaprio looks unrecognizable in his new movie.
It's just... So, for anyone that doesn't know, they tweeted,
Yeah.
and they tweeted like one of their articles, and they were like, first images of Leonardo DiCaprio looking unrecognizable in Martin Scorsese's new Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
And it's a screenshot of like him, and I don't know who the other actress is, but they're sitting at a table, and it literally just looks like Leonardo DiCaprio. It's
right.
got, like maybe a little bit of makeup on.
It could have even been taken literally on like a cast lunch.
Yeah.
Like that's how recognizable he is. He might not even be in character.
And everyone was just like, what the heck are you talking about? You can see him from a mile away. And it kind of became a big meme for like
everybody
a couple hours.
was kind of piling. Even James Gunn had a tweet. He said he must be the person on the left if he's unrecognizable, because the person on the right looks exactly like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Literally.
Yeah, so just a bunch of people just being mad at the tweet because it's so stupid. What's the point of that tweet? Like, who was thinking that?
It's the social media manager of whatever the New York
Like, here's the
Post
thing: was
like,
their plan to be like, oh, people will get really mad and spread the news because like people did, and we're talking about it.
It could have been really smart.
So if that's their plan, good for them. I am still pretty interested in actually seeing this though.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll come to theaters, and who knows if it'll go to Apple TV. Not that it matters, but
as long as I can see it.
Yep, as long as I can see it, that it's good, then it should be good. It's got Jesse Plemons too, right?
The Plemster.
Did you know he was in Jungle Cruise?
No. Did that even come out? I thought that hadn't come out yet.
I guess not. I don't know, but he's in it. Makes me want to see it.
No. You really want to see Jungle Cruise with The Rock and Emily Blunt
and Jesse Plemons? He's the bad guy.
I mean, it might be pretty cool.
I just read an article that he said it is the biggest performance I've ever done.
No, he didn't.
He did. He's like, I've never been more outrageous than I am in this movie.
I might have to do it then.
That makes me want to see it. Moving on. 1899. What are you thinking? What is 1899?
I'm thinking. So 1899, if you've been a fan of the show for a while, one of our earlier episodes, like within the first 10,
I want to say, yeah. Was it episode 8?
Yeah, really something
cool
like that.
It was.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We did a whole episode on the Netflix TV show Dark.
Yeah.
One of our favorite shows. And this show, 1899, is coming out. It got teased last week, but it's made by the same people.
Yeah, and it's a multicultural look at multiple people traveling on a ship to America at the turn of the 20th century when they encounter another ship adrift in the ocean and things take a turn for the worse. That's the little blurb there.
I'm interested.
Right here. It sounds very... I mean, obviously it's not going to be like time travel maybe not even sci-fi generally, but it's definitely going to be some sort of mystery type of show, which if they do it even half as well as they did it in Dark will at least be worth watching.
Yeah, it'll be better than most other things.
Right, exactly. So, I don't know if they could live up to Dark because Dark was so complex, but it should definitely be at least an interesting watch.
Yeah.
And I looked it up.
Okay.
Our Dark was episode 8.
Wow, how about that?
When is Michael?
But yeah, and since Dark was fairly successful, I'm assuming that hopefully they got a bigger budget around this season. So And not that the production was like lacking in dark,
Oh, far from it.
but I mean they could probably do some really crazy
more
stuff.
money means more.
See what's going on. But my people, Baron Odar and Janti Fries, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it on.
I think it's kind of interesting. They're talking about like multiple cultures and everything coming together.
Mm.
And I think they're staying true to that almost to the extent of like certain characters won't even be able to communicate because they can't
like
speak
language
the
barrier?
same language.
Interesting.
So you could have like multiple people sharing problems with no way to kind of ameliorate them because of language barrier and stuff like that. Very interesting show. Gotta keep your eye out for it. Got some more trailers and stuff going on.
A lot of trailers this week.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah.
Trailer. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It looked okay, I guess. I wasn't very interested in it,
Right.
to be honest.
It's like the first like martial arts focused one aside from the Netflix.
Have you seen Iron Fist?
So aside from the Netflix shows, this is the movie. This is the real deal. You know, it's like the first.
Iron Fist is a masterpiece.
Okay, I mean Daredevil was better.
Have you seen Iron Fist?
You haven't seen Iron Fist.
I know. I only saw the first episode.
You
and
need
I
to
stopped.
literally, if you watch it, you just need to watch for like I think his name's Wade or whatever, the brother.
Wade Wilson
No,
from Deadpool.
no. Wade is like the CEO's brother or son or whatever.
Okay.
He's good. He was in Mank.
Mank.
But Shang-Chi, martial arts focus, you get like barely any of it in the trailer, but you know, you just get quick hits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Definitely could be cool to see some like actual choreography other than like punch through wall or, you know, like throw very far.
What are you trying to say?
I guess we'll get into it later. What I'm trying to say. But yeah, however, there's kind of interesting thing going on with this as well as Eternals.
Okay.
China's not really feeling them.
Oh.
China's not sure they want to have it. They obviously like screen and censor all the movies that come into China and everything.
Yep.
Get rid of stuff that's not good. As far as I know, Eternals is also having problems because of Chloe Zhao directing and stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing confirmed that they're like banned or anything, but right now things just look a little murky. And apparently the history of Shang-Chi and the character used to be kind of built on, at least the bad guy, it seems, used to be built on certain stereotypes as kind of like I think like yellow peril is the term.
Okay.
So maybe a little bit. I'm sure the movie won't be, but this having just a little bit of a political charge behind it.
Yeah.
For them, who knows? We'll see how that turns out. I am sure Marvel wouldn't be very happy with that. Their movies not being able to come out in China. So
yeah.
We also got another trailer.
Venom.
Let There Be Carnage trailer came out. What did you think of Woody Harrelson's new hair?
It looked great.
It looked better than the
Talk
old
about
wig.
unrecognizable.
It looked way better than the old wig. I don't remember do you remember the old one? That was just
No.
it was like really tiny curls, you know? Like the really, really whatever.
Nice.
It was not great. It's a little bit better now though. You got the trailer, you got some like nods to the actual larger MCU. Like there was like a Avengers article in like the newspaper. There was like Spider-Man stuff on the wall, everything like that. Seems like it's not ready to actually jump in anytime soon. I could be wrong, but it does seem like it's still going to say pretty separate other than just little things here and there. But still, I didn't hate Venom.
Yeah, Venom was okay.
Venom was fine, you know. So Venom Let There Be Carnage couldn't be worse,
Let
right?
there be carnage.
Carnage is sweet. It's not like it could be worse. What do you know about Carnage? Anything?
Not much.
All I think I know is that Cassidy Clay or whatever. No, Cassius Clay is Cletus Cassidy. Yeah. He's like a serial killer who gets the symbiote.
Nice.
That's why he gets all crazy because he's already
and
crazy.
He goes Carnage.
And he goes Carnage. And he's supposed to be pretty strong. I don't know. I hope.
Who did Venom fight at the end of the first movie?
Riot.
Oh.
Yeah, it is another symbiote, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
I guess, because
so he fought Riot.
Yeah.
And now he's gonna fight Carnage.
The trailer did seem pretty gauged towards it was trying to be like funny. Not sure how I feel about that. If that tone's gonna stay the same throughout the whole film. It was a little too, slapstick a lot of points, especially when you have the bad guy who's literally like a serial murderer, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Might be a little weird juxtaposition there, but they could make it work
We'll
or
see
not.
what happens, man. I like Tom Hardy, so
yeah, we'll see what happens, and it should be watchable.
Should be.
Golden Globes group faces mounting pressure from Netflix, Amazon, and publicists to reform. Everyone's mad at the Golden Globes, and it's not too hard to see why. It's a pretty small actual like group of people who like control it and stuff, and there's just not a lot of representation within it. I put this in here. I don't care about the Golden Globes, and I never have. So it's not something that I really wanted to spend too much time on. But it seemed important enough that large entities now are also moving that direction.
Yeah.
Which is away from the Golden Globes.
Cool. Rock on.
You know why they call it the Xbox 360?
Why?
Because you turn 360 degrees and walk away. Did you ever hear that?
No.
You didn't hear that back in the day?
Jeez.
That was like the thing. And then people were like, 360 degrees is like a circle, right?
Yeah, it would just make
shut up. Legends of the Hidden Temple reboot now casting adult contestants.
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
You didn't watch Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Was that the one like game show?
Mm-hmm. It was the game show. There'd be like the large boulder that was falling down the hill, and you had to hide in the crevices, and you had to run up to the top of the hill and stuff like that.
I think I remember that.
And then you had to get the golden statue and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I remember that was a cool one.
Yeah, they had a bunch of teams. They have like the blue barracudas and the like green monkeys or whatever.
Okay.
Red parrots, I think, was one of them. Orange iguanas was definitely one of them. That was my favorite team. I think they won like once. In the
Orange iguana watched the reboot of Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Probably not, because I'm not a child anymore.
But it says adult contestants.
Actual death. They actually send a boulder down to these people.
If you don't get in that crevice, you're getting flattened.
Dead. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe for like once. Because the thing is, you watch it, but you don't really even get the nostalgia factor because it's new.
Yeah.
It's not the same as rebooting like an old property that's like all fiction. It's a little bit different. I wish them all the best, but I don't see it capturing the same, je ne sais quoi.
Never does.
Bong Joon-ho to direct first animated movie.
Ooh.
A Korean language deep sea adventure.
Two things that I like.
The animated film will be Bong's next project after
Four
his
things
next.
that I like. Can you guess the four things that I like?
Bong Joon-ho.
1.
Animated movie.
2.
Deep sea adventure.
3.
Korean.
4. We got it. Korean language.
Korean language. Yeah, but it'll
specifically like Korean movies.
His first time. The full CGI animation will deal with the drama that arises between deep sea creatures and human beings.
Nice. You already know this is about to be goated.
It'll be sweet. Obviously, a very long way off at this point. If it's the next project after his next, that's a while from now. But it's still pretty cool to see this kind of cooking up. I hope it comes to fruition.
New reason to live.
Right, exactly. These things, they just give you, okay, I can't die until I see Bong Joon-ho's Luca.
Yeah. Speaking of Luca,
Speaking of sea creatures.
Oh, okay.
Did I see the what?
The Luca trailer.
I didn't actually.
Oh, it looked okay, I guess.
Okay.
You said Luca, so I was like.
Yeah, okay. Well, speaking of horrible creatures, Ellen DeGeneres to end talk show. I need something new to challenge me. DeGeneres gets candid about her decision to wrap up the show in 2022, the allegations that nearly sent her packing, and the parts that she'll miss most and least about her daily platform. That seems like a like a cop-out. I need something new to challenge me. That sounds like a lie. That sounds like nobody watches your show anymore because everyone said you were awful. And so you're moving on to try to build from the wreckage.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't watch Ellen.
Me neither. I remember there's a time, or my mother was into Ellen probably like, I don't know, 12 years ago or something. And every day when I would come home from school, it would be on. And I would just see her like doing weird stuff, going to museums and talking to people. Never interested me. Was no Regis and Kelly.
Yeah, that's the best show. Well, now it's Kelly and Ryan, but
Right.
still just amazing. 10 out of 10.
You know what else should be a good little program? Is Knives Out 2.
Frick yes.
Knives Out 2 should be very cool. It's got cast added. We have Edward Norton.
Bingo.
Catherine Hahn, who was
Bango.
from WandaVision. She was great in that. Janelle Monáe
Bazanga.
and Batista.
Bahunga.
Drax.
News about Batista.
Well, actually, everybody here except Janelle Monáe is Marvel affiliated because he was Drax, she was Agatha Harkness, he was the Hulk,
Right.
and so she's the odd man out here. Needs to get on that Marvel shit if she wants. But yeah, the cast really coming together. Seems like it's gonna be star-studded again, which is great. That's cool. Usually it doesn't work. I feel a lot of movies that have too many stars fall apart. It was not the case with Knives Out at all.
Yeah, no, it was good.
So I'm sure Knives Out 2 will work out the same way. Whole new story except for Daniel Craig doing the detective.
Daniel Craig.
And Lakeith Stanfield might come back too, maybe. I don't know. I forget if
Cool.
he was local or whatever in the first one.
Can't remember.
But it'd be cool to see any of them return. I'm excited. Knives Out 2, give it to me.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Speaking of Batista, he was almost in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. This is terrible news.
But he said no. I want to be in a Gears of War movie, bitch.
Honestly, like,
Let's talk about Marcus
cool, but
Phoenix.
not cool.
I think it's cool. I think it's cool that Dave Bautista goes his own way.
You should have been in the Fast movie, in my opinion.
Well, they should have made a deal with him. They should have said, if you're in Fast and Furious, we'll give you a Gears of War movie. Because I don't know if you know anything about Gears of War, but if you look up Marcus Phoenix, like, it's this.
Yeah, he does look like
He
him.
looks like just like him,
Yeah.
It really would be like an absolute perfect casting. And I'm wondering if you just have, Tom Holland doing his Uncharted thing, and he'd have his Gears of War thing. Maybe just all the Marvel people get their own video game franchise and just let them
They
go
try
off.
to make him good.
Yeah. And they get the one good actor, then they fill the rest of the cast up with whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I would be totally down for Gears of War movie. Give it.
Yeah, I mean, I would watch it, but I'm sad that Dave Bautista's not going to be in the Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah. Well, what if all of the actors from the Fast and the Furious movies end up in Gears of War?
I mean, that could happen.
It
right?
could
They
happen.
could take Fast into any direction.
They take all the actors and they're just like, oh, you're all going to be in the Gears of War movie now.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. They could do it. But that's it. I got nothing else.
No more news.
No more news, so it's spotlight time. Guys.
It's time for the spotlight.
Wow. Okay. Da 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 da.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, that was that thing that nobody could do. Everyone. Then there was like, I was at the theater once when we were seeing like Infinity War or something, and before the movie they had like a guy, like way before, before the previews even start, they had a guy like walking around the street and they're like, oh, can you name a song from like one of the Marvel movies? And like the whole time I was just like thinking about that theme in my head.
The Avengers theme.
And nobody could do it. And I was like, whoa, what are you guys watching? You can't even do the Avengers theme.
Yeah, with the freak.
Bunch of losers. I never got over that, obviously, as
That's
you can
unreal.
see. But guys, we're talking about the whole MCU, the Infinity Saga, which is like what, 20 movies?
22 movies, I think.
22 movies. Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3.
We're going to do it. We're
All
gonna talk about
culminating
all
into
of them.
And we have seen all of them.
Not that we remember all of them.
No, not at all. Especially certain heroes movies. But we'll try our best, I guess.
And we're just gonna take a little time machine. We're gonna go subatomic.
Oh yeah, all the way back to the wonderful year of 2008. Wow, 2008. That is pretty crazy to think about.
2008 is when it all started.
2008 is really when it started. I mean, yeah, that's a long time ago. But just to, I guess, set the stage a little bit. Obviously, everyone loves Marvel movies, and it's unfair for us to say, or for me to say, I won't speak for you, that I dislike Marvel movies, because we did the math like not too long ago, and we were like, oh, we think half of the movies are good,
Yeah.
and half are not that great. So they're still, it's just overhyped, I guess is what you would say. They're very popular, and I get it because they're very like unchallenging films, which is okay. I also don't want to make it sound like there's no space for these blockbusters to exist, because there definitely is.
Yeah, we're not Martin Scorsese.
But it is kind of weird when people compare and try to elevate beyond those things. Like, you see a lot of people talking about money-wise for films like this. It's like, oh, of course these are the best movies ever because they make the most money. And that's just obviously not the perspective of somebody who has a creative interest in film. You wouldn't use money made as like a metric, really. But still, I get it, and I just don't want to make it seem like this is an attack on, those stupid Marvel movies. If you like them,
It's
you're
totally
an idiot.
personal when we get to Endgame, though.
Okay, sure.
It's totally personal.
Well, why don't we start back in Iron Man?
Iron Man, the first freaking movie that came out
Yep.
in Phase 1, 2008, directed by Jon Favreau. Great guy, Jon Favreau.
Surprise.
Iron Man, great movie.
Iron Man's fantastic. Iron Man is
One of the best.
a great way to kick off this whole thing. I don't know whose decision it was, or like how things came down to it, but to choose Iron Man as the face of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because compared to Captain America, at least,
And multiple other,
and
like
other
the Hulk.
ones too, yeah. Iron Man was almost like B tier.
Yeah.
Captain America is like, even before this, was like one of the top heroes, So to have an Iron Man who's a little bit below him as the like face and the start of this was an interesting position, and I'm glad for it because I think Iron Man's a cool
it's
character.
pretty amazing foresight.
Yeah, it really is. And if we just want to talk about it right away, the thing that the MCU seems to really, at least to me, have a pretty good stand on is casting all of these characters. From their comic book versions, bringing them to life with these real people.
Yeah.
I can't really think. Are there any that you're like, oh, that sucked? I can think of like one that I did not like.
I'm sure we'll get there at some point.
The only one casting that I specifically was like, I don't like this, was Edward Norton.
Hey, and guess what?
And guess what? Hey, it worked.
That's funny.
But seriously, other than that, I think they do a really good job of all of that.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
Man, Tony Stark himself.
He just totally embodies the character. Like, you would say, like, if someone says Robert Downey Jr., you're like, oh yeah, Iron Man.
Yeah, it's probably going to be his legacy, right?
That, and I think Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
at least for me.
Yeah, for you.
No one thinks about Zodiac.
What? What do you mean?
No one thinks about Zodiac.
Everyone should think about Zodiac all the time. But we have the first one. It's Tony Stark is the CEO of Stark Industries, right? And he makes weapons. And guess what? The weapons get in the hands of the wrong people.
What?
So he gets stuck in a cave with a box of scraps.
Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Yeah, exactly. And he builds an Iron Man suit, and he's got a flamethrower, and he just starts killing people. Terrorists, but still. He just starts murdering all of them with his
Gotta escape,
flamethrower.
man.
And he flies away, and he's got this horrible thing now that he's got to have the little generator in his
arc
heart,
reactor.
or he'll die.
Yeah, you can't let the metal pieces get to his heart, or he dies.
Yeah.
So that like stops it.
You gotta play Operation Pepper Potts. Anyway, you get a lot of fun scenes of him just building and messing with all the tech and stuff like that. Again, the movie is pretty light, but it doesn't quite yet have the feel that I feel all the Marvel movies eventually pick up. Going through this, I'll try to see if I can figure out when exactly they all started feeling the same to me.
Yeah, okay.
But this one, even going back to it, it felt like it had a little bit more edge.
Yeah,
you know?
it feels a little separated.
It starts with like, again, it's like terrorists and like bombings and stuff.
Yeah, it's more serious.
And then he like has a one night stand in the middle of it, which is pretty adult, at least compared to I feel like what the rest of the movies do.
Yeah.
Just touching on those different themes. And Tony's not a good guy.
No.
He's not. So it's interesting. Eventually, Obadiah Stane wants his tech to make money off of it. Tony's like, no. They fight. Okay, so the villain of the first Marvel movie is a guy in an Iron Man suit. Just point that out.
Remember this.
Remember this
part.
So that's the villain. He gets his own suit. It's big, and they fight, and Iron Man wins. And at the end of the movie, goes out into the front of the press. He's like, "Oh, I have an announcement to make. I am Iron Man."
Which I don't know if this is true, but I heard that was improvised.
Oh wow, that's kind of absolutely insane.
But I don't know if that's true. But I heard that like Robert Downey Jr. just like did that, and they were all just like, "Whoa."
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be cool if it was true. It's definitely different from, as far as I know, most superhero things work. One thing with the MCU is that it doesn't care about secret identities. They don't exist in the MCU. It happened in the Spider-Man movies, the first two, not anymore though. I think it's
not really.
a kind of bizarre, the idea that you have this superhero universe where in comics it's such a big deal to be like, oh, you can't let anybody know because then your family's going to be targeted like all the time. But like these people, either their family are other superheroes or they just like don't care. Or they have enough protection from the rest of the Avengers, It's not that I dislike how they handle things, but I do find myself kind of missing the idea of balancing these two lives into one normal life. I always thought that was kind of intriguing. Like being a hero doesn't really mean sacrificing your whole life, but these people just make being heroes their lives, so it's whatever. I don't know. Did you have any thought about that whole idea that's just kind of scrapped in the MCU?
No, I never really thought about it, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like it. I think because I always find it annoying when they're like, "You can't know who I am." It just always bothers me.
Yeah.
Especially in Spider-Man.
Which one? In these ones?
Yeah, the new ones.
The new ones. Yeah. Yeah. It's. If Spider-Man is how they would handle it, then I guess I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they do it particularly well.
Yeah. And like in Invincible, it bothers me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even don't get me started on Invincible with that.
I was just saying that was just a.
No, I know, but
thing.
That just bothers me because Amber knew he was a superhero when she yelled at him all those times. She was just being mean.
I don't know.
No, I don't see. The thing is, what you're saying is you don't like it as a external conflict, and I guess I agree with that. I didn't mean it in an external way. I meant it in an internal way. Just as balancing being a hero and being a person.
Yeah, there's not much of that.
Not so much literally like, oh, I hope my grandma doesn't find out, but more like, oh, when can I stop? Kind of struggle, which again is very internal, which we're not. You don't see too much of, I guess, in this kind of context. But whatever, it's fine. Yeah. Iron Man 1, even though
Great
it's
movie.
Different roadie, it's totally cool.
Honestly, probably a top 5 Marvel movie.
I would say that too. I think it's one of the best ones.
Yeah, right off the rip.
Yep.
But then
like a month later,
they came in hot with the Incredible Hulk, also in 2008, from Louis Leterrier. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Not great. From what I remember.
From what I remember, not very good. Even
we get Ed Norton. He gets all that gamma radiation. And he's like, I'm angry.
I'm an angry man, and This is another one where, it's like this for like every Hulk thing, where it's like I just wish he was the Hulk more, you know. But you have like the military in this one, and you had like Abomination, right?
Abomination, yes, dude.
And Abomination, Hulk is a big green, muscly monster man, and Abomination is a big yellow, I want to say, muscly monster man.
Hey, keep that in mind.
just keep that in mind. Not very good. I remember not liking Edward Norton as Bruce Banner at all.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because like I get that Bruce Banner is like a scientist and a nerd, but I always kind of thought of him as having a little more meat on him in general, just as a side effect almost, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And having this guy who, like, no offense to him, but he just comes off usually as kind of measly to me.
No, I know.
It just wasn't the right vibe to me. It wasn't the confidence behind someone who's like, oh, I'm the Hulk, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, you know? And another one where it's the Hulk is actually a great deal of internal struggle, which is just not communicated over the course of the film.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
He fights a big monster man, and he wins. The end.
Yeah. I will say there's one thing that I don't know why, but I always remembered about this movie, and the one thing that I always liked was there's a scene where he's taking a shower, and he's just like showering or whatever, and he's like looking at the water, and then it like changes to like bullets like in his head, and then he like freaks out, and then he like I don't know, I always liked that part. That was kind of cool. But this is the movie that everyone forgets.
Yeah, do people even realize that this is part of the MCU?
I don't know.
I don't think they do, because I barely did.
Exactly.
I was kind of like 50-50. I was like, I'm pretty sure, but it is. That's Mark Ruffalo. He lived that, I guess.
So yeah, and that one didn't hit that well, so they took a big 2-year break.
That did.
And then the next movie is just Iron Man 2, which is actually kind of funny.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that until we started putting them all in order.
Right, exactly. It was the Iron Man thing at first, because. Did Nick Fury show up at the end of Iron Man?
Yeah, he shows up, I think,
at the donut
the first
place?
one. No, that's 2.
Oh, that's 2, yeah.
Yeah, the first one he shows
just
up and
he's
like,
or whatever.
I'm assembling a team.
Yeah, exactly. The
classic. Like, let me tell you about the Avengers Initiative.
And Nick Fury again, also. Wow, great casting.
Yeah, Sam Jackson.
Don't get better than that. It's the ultimate Nick Fury, but still, amazing. Iron Man 2, we have. Russian man.
He's Whiplash. That's his like super villain name. I know that.
He's got 2 laser whips, basically, and he cuts.
He's got
stuff.
a bird.
He's got the board.
My board.
I want my board. And he got Justin Hammer, who is
the Hammer.
Sam Rockwell, and that doesn't do much. I don't know how big a deal Justin Hammer is in like the comics or whatever, but
don't know.
He didn't do much in that movie. I don't like Iron Man 2 very much.
Does anybody?
No, I don't think anybody does. The only really memorable thing I think from Iron Man 2 is the to-go suit in the suitcase, where he like opens the suitcase and it's like the chess piece and stuff like that.
That was cool.
And he just fights him.
I always just remember that whole scene at the racetrack. I thought that scene is good.
Is Elon Musk in Iron Man 2?
But I don't know.
For some reason, I just got a flash of Tony Stark and Elon Musk like talking at that race scene. Can you look that up?
Here we go.
Because I feel like that might have happened, or it was some kind of billionaire.
Elon Musk in Iron Man.
Maybe it wasn't Elon, but it was some kind of billionaire man.
Yes, Elon Musk appeared in a scene in Iron Man 2.
Yes,
it was during the party that billionaire Tony Stark threw to celebrate the promotion of Pepper Potts.
Right.
Here it is. Wow.
Yes.
There he is.
Right. Back in 2010. The
amazing.
Musker.
Just amazing.
Okay.
What a moment.
I'm glad I didn't make that up in my mind. I'm glad that ended up being true. So yeah, the Russian guy and Tony, they're like hired to fight or whatever. He was like hired to fight him, take him down to get his tech or something. What very uninteresting villain.
Yeah,
not
not great.
not great at all. He didn't really
That's
have
a theme with the Marvel movies.
Yes, he didn't have much of a. They already did the other Iron Man in the suit for Iron Man 1, so they can't do it again.
Right.
So they just have a guy whose design wasn't that interesting to me. It was the 2 whips and then like nothing else. It's basically just a guy with 2 whips.
Yeah, but he cut a car in half.
He cut a car in half.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Iron Man 2.
Jon Favreau came back for this one, by the way. I don't think I said that.
All right, yeah. You would think that just looking at what we have coming up, honestly, I'm almost impressed that the MCU kicked off.
Yeah.
Because I guess we just didn't have anything to compare it to, and it was very new to have these superheroes coming to the screen, and I'm sure a lot of nerds were totally in support of it all from the beginning. You know, people who already knew these characters established already.
Yeah.
So they probably had a lot of backing from them. Iron Man 2, regardless of how good it was, seemed like a win just because Iron Man was successful.
Yeah.
Was good. So it makes sense to that extent.
And then, the very next year, 2011, Kenneth Branagh brought us Thor. Everyone loves Thor. The first movie, everyone loves it.
Thor is just like a different person than from like Thor now.
Yeah, the first two Thor movies.
The first 2 Thors, they just tried to make him into like, I guess, more traditionally what he's kind of like, the whole fish out of water thing. Yeah. And man, does it not work for this.
Not great.
It's really hard to feel for him at all, really, because he's just so detached from everything most of the time. I don't like Thor.
Currently, in the current spot we are in.
No, like Thor, the movie Thor.
Yes.
Yeah, it is not good.
It's not great.
Yeah. Actually, you know what's funny about Thor is I don't think I actually watched it until like after I saw Iron Man 3, I want to say.
Okay.
I didn't see it when it came out. So it would have been, like halfway through the MCU where I was actually like, okay, I guess I'll watch Thor. It was probably when the second one was coming out that I was like, I guess I should catch up 2 years later.
Yeah.
Onto the Thor stuff. You also had Natalie Portman.
Yep.
And there being a love interest, I guess.
Anthony Hopkins as Odin. And obviously Tom Hiddleston. Great Loki. Everybody loves Loki.
Yeah. And again, just talking about casting, spot on.
Oh, yeah. Really great stuff.
Chris Hemsworth, I don't know. What was Chris Hemsworth in before Thor?
I don't know.
When was Cabin in the Woods? I don't know. Maybe it was just that.
Probably around the same time.
I would imagine around the same time, actually. It might have even been the same year. But yeah, Thor.
Not great.
Even as a hero, if you're talking like stuff that he does, like I don't even remember if he does anything cool in Thor.
Well, in Thor, he gets like banished and he loses all his powers.
Right.
And then in the end, he gets them back.
Yeah, but I don't remember the scene if it was like.
I don't even know who he fights at the end of the movie.
I don't remember either. I remember the second one, but not the first movie.
Malekith, because he's got a cool name.
What is the enemy in the first Thor?
We have the internet.
Is it Elon Musk?
Who does Thor fight in Thor?
Is it just Dark Thor and he's got a sickle?
Who does Thor fight in Thor?
Thor. I don't know. Who's the main antagonist?
Thor 1. Oh my gosh.
Thor 1.
Can I stop clicking things?
What do you got?
That?
Oh,
thing?
that machine thing.
Loki. What?
Destroyer?
First, the Destroyer is used by Loki. Okay,
yeah,
so
Destroyer.
Loki uses the Destroyer. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Don't remember that at all.
No, that's gone. That's gone from my memory. Good, though. And wasn't Agent Cole or whatever?
Agent Coulson?
Yeah, Agent Coulson. He was in that movie, I think.
I don't know. I only remember him in the Avengers.
Right, yeah, where he dies.
Spoilers, man.
Spoilers.
What the freak?
Anyway,
Thor not good.
Fuck Thor.
Also, same year, Joe Johnston said, I'm going to step up to the plate and bring Captain America the First Avenger.
Yep.
It's okay.
I like before he becomes superhuman.
When they edit his face onto a tiny person.
Yeah, I don't know. It works for me. He's just so scrappy. You're like, oh, it's kind of fun to think of that person.
I can do
still.
this all day.
Yeah, and he doesn't like jump on the grenade or whatever.
Yeah, he jumps on the grenade.
He's like, what the hell are you doing?
A part that I always remember from his like training is they're like running and they're like, first person to get that flag gets to ride home on the car, and everyone's like trying to climb the pole to get the flag and no one can do it, and then they're like, all right, let's leave, and he just like undoes the bolts and it falls over and he just like picks it up.
Yeah.
So it shows that he's smart. So he gets chosen for super soldier serum. Then he comes out epic, swole Chris Evans. He's like, yeah, what's up?
And he's like, I'm so big and tough.
Then he goes and saves Bucky, but then Bucky dies. Oh my god,
he's dead forever.
He's dead. He fell like 700 feet into the abyss,
and then
he fights the Red Skull.
And he kills the Red Skull by pushing
the Red Skull. It like looks like he gets disintegrated, but like it kind of maybe looks like a portal at the same time. So that one I can let it slide.
It's portal at the end of the day. Is it?
I think it might be the first time we've seen Infinity Stone.
That's what I was thinking. Is this the first? Oh, it must have been in Thor, though, right?
No, I don't think so, because the second one has the Infinity Stone. I think this is first we see the Tesseract, which is the space stone.
It's the beginning of the rest of it. You know? Getting in there. Captain America: The First Avenger still pretty solid.
Yeah, it's pretty all right.
Yeah, it's pretty all right.
And then we get to the very end of Phase 1. 2011, Joss Whedon directs.
2011?
2012, sorry.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon brings us the Avengers.
Yeah.
The culmination of...
Oh, I forgot to mention that Black Widow.
Yeah, and Iron Man 2.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's where she gets introduced. I don't remember where Hawkeye gets introduced.
In the event... In Thor. Maybe?
Maybe. Yeah. Not Captain America.
I could be tripping. Anyway.
Yeah, okay.
The Avengers. It's all the heroes that we met so far. They all get to team up.
I didn't rewatch this recently, but I have seen it post like Infinity War, I want to say.
Yeah, I've seen it plenty of times.
Yeah, I've seen it post Infinity War, and
it's great.
I was going to say it wasn't as good as I remember it being.
It's good. It's not great, it's good.
Yeah, cuz I remember it being like, wow, this is like life-changing, and it was, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I do go back to it now. I'm like, oh, this isn't quite as solid as I always thought it was.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because you just realize how little time you actually had with the characters at this point, you know? So it's like, oh, a lot of this stuff isn't happening. I still think Tony probably gets the best stuff in Avengers.
Oh, for sure.
Not
even close.
Between his confrontation with Loki, you know, in his high rise, you know, being like, I have an army. We have a Hulk, right? And then he does the thing, and it just clinks off his arc reactor,
he uses the scepter,
and it doesn't work on him. You know, it's cool stuff like that, just cool little details. And you get the team coming together for the first time. It's neat. It's very neat.
I think this is the moment that you were talking about where
they all fell into the same thing.
They start to have the same kind of style.
Thinking back to like Captain America and the first Thor, like you're probably right. I think the Avengers is what did it. The end of Phase 1 is when they were like, okay, we have a formula now.
Yeah, we know what we are good at and what we can do.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think you'd be right saying that. But basically, Loki wants to kill everybody.
He says, he wants the Tesseract and to open the portal to bring the Chitauri in to destroy Earth.
Yeah, cool. And I've read things. People said that like they thought that Loki wasn't entirely acting on his own in this movie.
Well, he's working for Thanos at this point, right?
Oh, I don't remember.
Because I remember, isn't there like a scene? Isn't there a scene with Thanos in the Avengers where
at the end?
The end, because he turns and he smiles. He's like, and it looks really bad.
Yeah, yeah. But I just heard people saying that like the Tesseract itself was actually influencing Loki a bit. I don't know if that was just kind of a way for them to turn Loki into a good guy eventually.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of an interesting idea that made enough sense to me.
Okay.
Tesseract strong, but Avengers. I remember there was something weird with like a waitress in the Avengers movie where they're like, "Oh, she's gonna be the main character of Captain America 2."
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. So there's like after the battle, I think at the end they're like doing like the interviews with the people, and there's the one lady who's like, Captain America saved my life.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's that person.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be like some sort of like prominent character.
I don't think they were now that we've 10 years later.
So like I don't know about that.
I don't know if that's true.
Um
And then of course the famous after credit scene.
the shawarma.
They go get some shawarma. They just chomp.
That
away
is
at it.
that the best one?
Ah.
Well, maybe we'll once we do more, but shawarma's it's up there.
It's
a
definitely
classic.
the most memorable, I think.
It's just dead silent.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there eating in like the destroyed restaurant,
shawarma
and the
place.
people are just like sweeping up and they're just munching.
munching away. And that was the one you had to wait to the end.
Yeah, like way after.
So, yeah. How do you feel about... Because that's what it is. The MCU establishing the after credit scene as like a staple. How do you feel about that?
I like it. It's fun. It's a fun little thing.
I like it in Marvel movies. I hate it in other movies. Especially if they're
wrong.
If they're not franchise movies and stuff. I hate it. It's annoying.
Okay, I can get with that, but in Wreck-It Ralph,
That's a franchise. There's 2 of them.
okay. So I was gonna say, in Ralph Breaks the Internet, I will say this right here on the record.
Yeah.
Ralph Breaks the Internet has the greatest after credit scene of all time.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it. Just look up Ralph Breaks the Internet after credit scene. You won't regret.
Okay. Anything else to say about the Avengers other than Hulk finally gets
Hulk smash. Oh, and that's
A
when
little
we
bit.
learn he's like, I'm always angry.
always angry. I can pretty much control it.
Yeah. And then we see Hawkeye do cool stuff. Everyone gets their little moment.
Yeah, it's interesting, I guess, having characters like Hawkeye and Black Widow who are very obviously not even close to as strong as anybody else fighting.
Yeah.
You also get into the fact where, and this again, you can nitpick a lot of these movies just because there's so much going on in all of them at all times. But it's like, Tony, you have like 30 suits.
Does he have that many at this point?
Maybe not. It might have been after this, because I know by Iron Man 3, because that was kind of a big part of it.
Yeah, he has
was
like a
lot of
bajillion.
suits. But it's like, what's the reason why he can't just make more and just give them to people?
Yeah.
It's like, you have a lot of money.
That is
Obviously, he's the best pilot of them, you know, and War Machine Rhodey gets one. And of course, even Pepper gets one eventually. But, you know, it's just something you think about. It's like, maybe some people could be saved if you just weren't a little bit stingy.
Anyway, that is the end of Phase 1.
Phase 1, done.
And we move on to Phase 2. In 2013, Shane Black. They switched up from Jon Favreau, and we have Shane Black directs Iron Man 3. Kind of slept on, I think.
So
Maybe.
you like it?
I think it's all right.
It's okay. It's
But I
better
feel
than
like a
Iron
lot
Man
of people
2.
are like, oh, it sucks.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know if it sucks.
I think it's
okay.
better than Iron Man 2, to say the least about it.
Yeah.
Again, like you said, you have a ton of suits in this movie, a ton of different color palettes, and that are being like automated and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you have the villain in this one, who's the weird like molten
The
guy.
Mandarin.
Well, no, it's not the Mandarin.
Yes.
No, that's the fake villain. Remember? Then they find him, and he's just like a guy, and then the real villain is like the fireman.
Yeah, but it's like the same thing.
Well, no, it's not. It's 2 completely different characters, though. The Mandarin was just like a red herring. Because the Mandarin's supposed to be the villain of Shang-Chi, I thought.
Oh, I don't know then.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about then.
Right, yeah. Well, it's the molten guy who, it's hot.
I thought that was called the Mandarin.
The Mandarin was the propaganda guy, and he came in, and he was like, shut up. And the guy was
Ben
like
Kingsley.
And he was like eating Cheetos, and he's like, oh, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. But that was just like the moniker. I don't think that was supposed to be the Mandarin, because I feel like people would have been a lot more angry. Because the Mandarin's, I was under the impression that the Mandarin was like one of the toughest villains.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe that could be totally wrong, but I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah, see, we don't know what we're talking about. Anyway, Iron Man. I can't remember exactly how, but he like somehow the address to his house gets released, and they come and they fucking destroy his house,
annihilate it with rockets and shit.
And he saves Pepper, yay! But then he goes down to the bottom of the ocean, and then he flies away, and then he like falls asleep and crashes, and then
he meets a kid.
Little kid finds him, and they form an unlikely friendship.
And he's gonna be the next Iron Man,
probably.
I guess. Why not?
I don't know. And then whatever, they have a little moment. And he fix up his suit, and then he's like, "You're a good kid."
Mm-hmm. And then Pepper dies.
Yeah, the final confrontation with like all the Iron Man suits. Pepper's like, she falls into the fire, and Tony's like,
I can't believe it. Oh no!
But then, oh my gosh, Pepper had the orange juice injected into her.
Yeah,
and she can heal crazy amounts. And
she goes, "This attack smells like my vagina," and then she stabs him in the heart. And she goes, "How's that for goop?"
Yep.
And then the movie ends, and they cure her also.
Yeah, she doesn't want the power,
which is so weird.
Why do you not want that for?
What a bizarre thing to have in the movie. Be like, I should give it to her, but then like immediately take it away.
Yeah.
I always thought that was just weird.
Yeah. So that was cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3, yeah, whatever. Then Alan Taylor comes in and gives us Thor: The Dark World. Just a masterpiece.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Masterpiece?
Unreal. No, this movie sucks.
Yeah, neither of the Thors are good. So if we can talk about, like, up to this point, Iron Man... You have, like, Iron Man, Captain America, The Avengers, and Iron Man 3, maybe. Depending on how you feel. That are, like, good.
I'd say Iron Man and The Avengers are good. Captain America is fine.
Yeah, just the point I'm getting at is that, like, I guess it's a good thing that the general population was just a lot more happy with them, because at this point you're, like, 7 movies deep or more. Yeah. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like the movies are like, okay, it's an okay series, Yeah. It's fine overall. So I guess it just starts to pick up a little bit after this movie.
It most certainly.
Yeah.
But anyway, Thor: The Dark World, they go out. We got Malekith, who's like Dark Elf champion, and he's got the Aether, yeah. Whatever, which is like the Reality Stone or whatever. And he's like, "I'm bad," and Thor's like, "Well, I'm good."
I'm good. So there.
I gotta fight you. They fight, and Thor wins. Yeah, that's. I'd be honest, I don't really remember.
I remember they fought. They like flew around.
Nice, yeah. Anyway, no one remembers what happens in Thor: The Dark World because it's not great.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I do appreciate, however, the fact that I can remember basically nothing from those movies, and still make sense of the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think people knew. They're like, nobody saw these. We need to like
exactly. And then, cue epic walk-up music. Because in 2014, the Russo brothers enter the MCU, which, I mean, if you are even like slightly a fan, you know who the Russo brothers are. Those are the dudes.
They're the guys for the most part.
Those are the dudes. They come in 2014, and they make Captain America: The Winter Soldier a top 5, probably.
Yeah, at the time, it
probably the best one.
Yeah, I think it took the spot for me because I remember having seen most of them. I still thought Iron Man was like the best one.
Yeah.
And at the time, seeing this in the theater and everything, this probably took the spot, at least for a while.
Yeah.
As my favorite one. And why? Well, we have... Sorry, you want to say something?
No, I thought you were asking me why, and I was going to...
I'll ask, sure, why?
Because it's really good.
Yeah. The thing that I liked about this, I suppose, is that it almost feels like, like a spy movie, like a Mission Impossible or something.
Yeah, it's less of like a classic like Marvel nonsense.
Mm-hmm. It's got a little bit of its own genre stuff going on. Even I remember just the setup of the film itself. Like it would have like different locations, stuff like title cards and just stuff that you weren't seeing in the other ones as much.
Yeah.
And the Winter Soldier is probably like the best villain.
No,
well,
but top three.
But yeah, one of the top ones. Yeah, one of the best.
I would probably put him number 3.
Number 3. But he's very interesting. I guess in
probably
this,
like the first, other than like Loki and the Avengers, I guess kind of counts, but like probably like the first like
Right.
actually like solid.
Loki was another
villain.
likable villain for sure.
But yeah, in terms of like just like the main villain, probably like the first movie that had like a really solid one in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And of course, just the whole history, he has that with him, so it adds a lot to it. The Winter Soldier just, went an interesting direction. I remember it even had a lot of cool fight choreography.
It has that one thing with the knife that everyone always talks about.
Which part with the knife?
They're hand-to-hand fighting like
Steve and Bucky?
And it's on like the overpass fight scene.
Okay.
And they're like, and he like
against the van.
Yeah,
and,
he like
shreds
puts the
it
knife
open.
Yeah, and there's one scene where he like drops the knife and he's like
Right, yeah. That was a lot of good stuff. I'm thinking of Civil War as another scene that I'm thinking of, pretty sure, where he attacks Iron Man, right? Or that wasn't this movie, right?
No, not in this movie.
Okay, that must have been Civil War, because that was another scene with Bucky that I remember really liking.
Yeah.
But yeah, just cool stuff all around. I'm pretty sure this is the one where he like holds the helicopter to the ground, with his big ripped limb muscles. Very, very strong man.
And he switches his grip from this to this, which is just like, if you talk to anyone, that's just like nonsense,
like,
but it's just to show how freaking
Pretty
giant his biceps are.
Yeah,
but whatever, I'll take it.
Yeah, sure, why not? It's his superpowers mean it's more powerful that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I remember, they spend a lot of time like out of costume, actually. In this
like
movie.
doing like
just whatever stuff.
Yeah, kind of like whatever.
So yeah, it's just you get, as we said with the Avengers, they take on the superhero genre. It's like the type of film they become, and I felt like this one just stepped out of it a bit and dabbled into spy superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the major success overall of it.
And it shows more of, it gets into like the Steve and Natasha kind of dynamic, because they share like the whole movie together basically. And then I think this one also introduces Anthony Mackie as Falcon.
Right. Yeah, he shows up in this.
On your left.
Yeah.
So yeah, and big Anthony Mackie fans, I think.
Yeah.
You like Anthony Mackie?
He's pretty cool.
Okay. And yeah, he's probably going to still be in the MCU for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, he's like Iron Man or Captain America now, right? I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch Falcon.
Me neither. So I think that's what's happening, which is cool. Go for it.
Yeah, awesome. And then same year, 2014, James Gunn comes in and brings Guardians of the Galaxy, which was just a huge major success, huge change from what we've seen. Just came in with like none of the other Marvel movies. Just, it was totally stands apart.
This movie almost felt like a litmus test for them as to like where the rest of the franchise can go, because it was so out there.
Yeah.
Completely 100% alien, except for, even Peter a little bit. But so I mean, you got a talking raccoon and Groot, right?
I am Groot.
So it's like they're really just stretching out as far as they can to see like, is this something people want? And wow, did people want it? This movie was like ridiculously, at least in my memory around me, it was ridiculously popular. It like, to me, sent the MCU to another level.
Oh, definitely.
People just being
this
all
brought it
in.
up. Yeah.
Because maybe it was something that like people who didn't know anything about superheroes were just opening up to these more outlandish ideas. And then it seemed like a deep enough cut that even fans of comic books would be like, oh my gosh, they're not just doing
all the
all the
things that everybody
main
knows.
ones.
Yeah.
They're like actually digging in a little bit. So even win those people over again. Overall, just like a super smart move. And they throw in, pop culture references all over that movie.
Oh, it's
like the music and
everywhere.
everything.
Yeah, the soundtrack, obviously, he has and they have the awesome mixes. I think that's what they're called, the awesome mix, Volume 1, the first
so
movie. Volume 2,
everybody's going to fall for that.
Yeah, everyone loves those classic
old
hits.
music and whatever, yeah.
And then it's just really kind of awesome movie, just really funny. James Gunn, he's kind of good at that stuff. So they really hit the mark with the director there. And Guardians of the Galaxy just kind of rocks. And then, especially kind of like the final battle, just kind of flips everything on its head when he just starts dancing and he's singing. He's like, "Ooh, child." He's like, "What are you doing?"
Right, yeah, it's pure
That's
comedy.
just kind of something that you don't really see ever.
The
and
villain,
that's how they beat him.
I don't remember his name, but I do remember Ronan, right. But I do remember his look, definitely for sure. It's like what he's got going on. And it's the first one besides like Avengers or whatever where they're like, oh yeah, Stone, that's like the thing.
Yeah, the Stone's the big deal.
It's like
in
that's
this one.
the deal now.
The Power Stone.
We all kind of know about it. And so that was good for people to just, again, setting up more than Avengers, just like this is the arc of the Infinity Saga of phase 1 through 3,
Yeah.
Just another step in that direction. So in a lot of ways, Guardians of the Galaxy was just like a really, really important film, if not one of the most important.
Yeah.
In the whole series.
Yeah,
so
honestly,
far.
if Guardians of the Galaxy didn't
flopped,
it flopped. Well,
who knows what would have happened? Then?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, would people even try Endgame if they couldn't?
Exactly.
Handle that?
Yeah, I don't even know.
So
that's interesting. What if?
I do wonder if what they were thinking, if that's what they had on their minds when they were putting that movie out. If they had that in the back of their minds, like, what do we do?
Probably.
If this flops?
They're like, oh, this has to be good. James Gunn.
James Gunn was like, don't worry about it. It's all good. Talking tree.
Yeah, who doesn't love the talking tree?
We are
and
Groot.
Rip's wrist piece dies in this movie.
He does die.
But he comes back as a little baby Groot.
Little baby Groot.
Anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy, great. And then we get Avengers: Age of Ultron. Yes, in 2015. Also, Joss Whedon doesn't live up to expectations.
Man, Avengers: Age of Ultron, WandaVision. Because you have Quicksilver. Okay, so Ultron is like Jarvis in a big robot body.
Tony creates him.
Yeah, it's just like an AI that wants to kill everybody.
It doesn't. He originally creates it to be like good, but then he's like, you know what? I'm not good anymore.
I'm not good. I'm too smart to be good. I gotta do my robot stuff.
Right.
And Ultron, I mean,
he's cool. I like James Spader's voice for him.
I was just gonna say at this point how I felt that like Ultron was just like another evil Tony Stark.
Because I mean, yeah,
you have Ultron and he has this like weirdly charming like personality, and I get that he's a super advanced AI.
Yeah,
but it just was a little weird to me. That's like, why did you just basically make it if Tony was a bad guy? Like,
right?
It just set me off a weird way. But again, they knew what they could do, so they did what they knew.
Right. And this one also introduces Vision.
Right, Vision.
They create Vision in this with the Mind Stone. Another stone comes up, which I don't. How do they even get the Mind Stone?
They wish upon a star.
And you wish upon a star.
Wanda and Quicksilver are here too.
And yes, Wanda and Quicksilver show up. They can't call them mutants.
They're
not allowed. So
did they say that in this one?
What they call them, like,
or gifted?
Something weird.
But
it's just like funny.
They're fucking weirdos.
And they show up and didn't see that coming. Quicksilver dies.
Quicksilver is introduced and dies, and Wanda's sad, and everybody's sad. And then you have to wait 10 years to, or 7 years to.
And this is the movie where Tony gets his like premonition of the Avengers like being killed.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah.
Because there's that whole scene where like Ultron's like messing with his head. He's like, no, and he sees like everyone dead, and Cap's shield is like cut in half. Yeah. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is terrible.
It's crazy. Yeah.
what happens. The movie is like not that great, but what happens in the movie is like really important for like the rest
It
of
is. It's super important movie, so you wish it was better.
Thing. So, yeah.
And then at the end, they have the Sokovia shit that happens because they're like, oh, look, all this disaster where like people died.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of bummed out about it. And they put that just on the shelf for a second.
Yeah. It'll become important in 2 movies.
Yes.
First thing, we have the very end of Phase 2, we get Ant-Man from Peyton Reed.
What do you think of Ant-Man?
First Ant-Man is okay.
I wish I liked the Ant-Man movies. I feel like I'm so close to liking them. Like, I want to think they're funny.
Yeah.
But they really just don't land with me. I think Ant-Man's an interesting ability, you know? Because it's like, ooh, how do you beat that if he climbs up Thanos' anus? You know, and just grows big. Obviously, they made that canon that he can clench too hard, so that wouldn't actually work. I'm glad they established that. But still, they should have answered that a lot sooner, I thought, at the very least. Yeah. Do you think Ant-Man's funny?
From what I remember like the final battle was kind of funny when they're like on the Thomas the Tank Engine track and you're like in like the CGI part of it and it's like all like explosions and stuff and then it just like cuts out and it's just like the Thomas train just like falling over. Yeah, it's kind of funny, a little gag.
What a great villain. You know, it's a villain that can get big and get small.
Hey guys, are you seeing the trend?
But it's not like their fault, right? It's the comic book's fault.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Isn't it? They didn't have to choose to make each person the opposite of them, but you know.
Yeah.
Don't forget WandaVision. The final confrontation was literally 2 witches versus literally Vision against himself. Not even like a second. It's just Vision both times.
What are you gonna do?
But
yeah, and then Paul Rudd coming in as Ant-Man is
Paul Rudd's great.
Really great. I mean, yeah. I think everyone can agree that we all like Paul Rudd. Great actor, funny guy.
Really good Ant-Man. I don't like his kid, but that's whatever.
Yeah, besides the point. Anyway, Ant-Man, yeah. And
Ant-Man's
then
fine.
we start Phase 3, the final phase.
Yeah.
This is where it starts to get real. And it starts off with the Russo brothers coming back for their second time with Captain America Civil War, which is great. A lot goes on in Civil War.
Black Panther
shows up.
Yeah.
Spider-Man shows up. They have a civil war.
Yeah. I think so. This must be the one I was thinking of, where like Bucky tries to like assassinate Tony.
I'm trying to think.
And Tony like doesn't have his suit on him, or he just like has one glove and that's it, and he has to fight off Bucky with like just his one glove.
Yeah, I think that's in like the final fight they have, because the end is when you find out that Bucky killed Tony's parents.
And Steve's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, he was just brainwashed, and Tony's like,
I don't think it's exactly like that, but it's pretty close.
And then they have a crazy fight.
So you agree with Captain America then?
What? Oh, which side am I on?
Yeah.
That's a tough one, because it's basically.
I just don't like how it's like nothing should happen to him.
Oh, you mean, wait, hold on. You mean just with
any of it?
With Bucky, or you mean the Sokovia Accords in general?
Any of it. Just give me your opinion.
I've always been a big Cap fan, so I remember when the movie came out, I was on Cap's side.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the side of like,
obviously
we don't need to be put in check. We're the best people capable of like doing.
I agree, Omni-Man.
And then Tony's like, no. Look what happened when we tried to, do this. We need to be put in check. Sorry, I was just thinking about Far From Home. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's kind of it. So like, I don't know. That's a tough one for me. I think I just sided with Cap because I like him.
And the movie's called Captain America Civil War.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of hard to pick sides. That's still so bizarre to me. I mean, he was the forefront of it, I guess, but it's still interesting. And I thought it was kind of interesting how quickly sides formed in the film, too. But I guess that's just because of the movie. However, I'd like to point out that personally, I don't know much about the comics run of the Civil War, but I know that it was like bigger than the movie was. From what I have heard, the Civil War could have been its own like saga.
Oh, really?
You know, maybe not this many movies, but at least like a phase 1 long, 7 movie thing
Whoa.
of like what's all going on, because you literally have it like, registering these superheroes and like putting limits on like what they can do and everything. I think that's an interesting idea that I just feel like it's a shame that it's like, can they ever touch that again? There was a second Civil War, I know that there was, and I think it's like Captain Marvel is like the Captain America in that one, and I think it was Iron Man 2, but Iron Man was still alive in the comics,
Yeah.
So who knows if they'll try it again with the second Civil War storyline.
Interesting.
They could, but it's definitely, I felt like kind of miffed by it, because I was like, man, I wish we could have seen a saga of who's the bad guy in this one. Oh, it's Captain America.
Yeah.
Like that's the antagonist for this movie, or it's Black Panther is the antagonist. It's just interesting way to go, but maybe one day we'll see it. Who knows?
Could be.
Spider-Man's intro is great in this one.
Yep, in the middle of, well, kind of right at the beginning of the famous airport sequence that everyone always talks about.
Right, imagine that for 7 movies.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then this movie also has one of my favorite moments, which is when War Machine gets visioned.
Yeah.
And he falls down to the earth.
That pissed me off so bad though, because I was like actually like, oh my gosh, War Machine.
Yeah.
And then who comes down?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Yes, you're talking about in the theater?
In the theater.
This is the worst thing.
So somebody comes down and he's like, Tony, I'm so sorry. And Tony shoots him with a repulsor blast, like, fuck you. And everybody in the theater just started laughing super hard. Like, oh my gosh, he just shot him in the middle of talking.
Yeah, which is like, what?
And I was like, I literally was looking around. I was like, you psychopaths.
I was like, you all just misread this situation.
It's like his best friend might be like dead. You think it's like a haha funny.
Yeah, what?
I was so confused. And
It's Bucky.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
Or no, it's Falcon.
It's Falcon. Yeah, it's Falcon. Yeah. Now that might have been like my turning point for liking and disliking these movies.
Oh,
honestly, it might have been that
people turned
that
turned
audience reaction of
it
people
was
like
terrible.
laughing when I was actually invested. I was like, oh, holy shit. And it just people just a crowd erupting in laughter. That might have been me turning on the audience and so turning on the films themselves.
Yeah. No, because I remember that was terrible because like my heart like dropped. I was like, because he hits the ground hard.
Yeah, he's just a guy too.
Yeah.
So that did never sat
was like,
well
oh,
with
this
me.
is so funny. He shot him.
Yeah, it's was not a great look for that film.
Unreal.
I wonder if that is. I would really love to know if that was a more universal experience. Than just maybe it was just our theater, I wonder how widespread that was, or if we just got a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
That is interesting. Hey guys, if you have any experiences with that scene, if you can remember, if you laughed,
Did you laugh?
did you laugh at his death?
He didn't die.
No, he
gets
didn't die, but
paralyzed.
You didn't know.
Which is just as bad.
It's pretty not just as bad. That's kind of fucked up to say.
I
But
mean,
it's
either
pretty
way, you
bad.
can't move.
Yeah. However, Civil War, overall, in my memory, it's happy memories.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
And then we get Scott Derrickson comes in 2016, and we get Doctor Strange, brand new character. And that movie is interesting.
Visually, it's pretty great.
Crazy.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
What did you think of the villain?
You wouldn't believe it, but it's Doctor Strange, but bad.
And like purple.
And well, technically, and then we have Dormammu.
Dormammu is a lot better.
But that's
he's
different.
Yeah, he
like
is
the
different.
first guy.
It is Mads Mikkelsen, right? Pretty sure it's Mads Mikkelsen.
I don't know.
And sometimes you think about that, and you're like, man, it kind of sucks that he's done.
Yeah.
It's like he'll never be in another Marvel thing because he can't.
Yeah.
Let's say Mahershala.
Marshmallow.
Yeah, I don't know. It is definitely very trippy visually. That was like kind of the whole thing the movie had going for it.
The effects are actually crazy.
Yeah, I didn't care. You get like even some Inception style stuff going on with like the cities folding.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care much for Doctor Strange as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly again because he felt like a Tony Stark light to me.
Maybe, Tony Stark light.
You know, it's like he just wasn't quite as douchebaggy, but he still had that kind of like uppityness about him a little bit. And quippy. They're all very quippy. Love to quip.
Yeah.
But he got the cape and stuff, and he talked to the Sorcerer Supreme and all that, just learning all this magic shit. And he's supposed to be like the big magic man, like the most powerful, whatever. You have the like monk buddies going on too in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the sling rings.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's cool. Yeah. You've seen that video that it's someone took a bunch of TikTok dances and they just like added Doctor Strange effects over them, and all the TikTok dances look like people casting spells.
Oh, nice.
So funny.
I like that.
Yeah, Doctor Strange was definitely... I really liked the ending sequence because it was just different. You know, it wasn't just a straight up confrontation.
Dormammu. I've come to bargain.
Right. Memorable. You got it, you know?
Exactly. I've only seen it like once.
I'm pretty sure I've only seen it once. Nothing to hate in it, I think.
No, yeah, it was pretty all right.
Pretty all right movie. Again, it's one of those things where if you like the character, it was probably awesome.
Yeah, and Benedict Cumberbatch is cool. Who doesn't like him?
Again, yeah, terrific casting.
So yeah, then we get everybody's favorite making a return, James Gunn, 2017 Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Taserface returns.
Taserface.
And you have David Hasselhoff. And Ego.
Ego.
Oh, Ego. Yeah, he's a big planet eater man. And Mantis.
Kurt Russell and Mantis.
Mantis is big in this one. Mantis is like my girl for this. I mean, she's actually relatively important, kind of.
Yeah, and especially in Infinity War.
Right, exactly. This one, did it land? Did you like it more or less?
I like certain parts of it more, but I think as a whole movie, the first one is still better.
Yeah, I think that the whole conformity and focus on the team is a lot tighter in the first one. The second one, it falls apart. Not falls apart, but it's just a little bit looser because Peter himself is like the focus of that film. You know, it's very him and his daddy. That's another one. That's another one where the guy gets shot and everybody started laughing. Because he's like, your mother was like, he's like brainwashing him or whatever. And he's like, oh, it's sad that I had to kill your mom. And he just pulls out guns and starts shooting. Because he's like, you killed my mom. He just starts shooting at him. And I remember people in the theater laughing.
What?
And they're like, oh, he shot him while he was talking. Ha, 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 ha. But do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
And he's talking about like, oh, he killed mom. And he immediately turns and just starts blasting. I remember people laughing at that. And I was like, guys.
What the heck?
What's going on? So are Marvel fans maniacs?
I guess.
They must be. No heart.
Anyway, what the freak? The opening sequence in this one is the best. With little baby Groot dancing around.
Yeah, to the big monster and the music. Yeah,
Mr. Blue Sky. I think this one has a better... I think Awesome Mix Volume 2 is better than Awesome Mix Volume 1.
I might agree with that.
And then this movie teases... This still has not come back. At least I don't think so in any of the other movies. Hopefully it comes back soon. But this movie teases Adam Warlock.
Yeah, at the end.
This was like 5 years ago. And nothing has happened with that yet.
Because all the gold people are like, oh, yes, awaken or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just not shown up. People thought it was going to be the end game thing.
Yeah, but no.
It might not be anything ever.
No, he'll show up. I'm sure he will.
What's even happening in the MCU now? Do we know?
Well, it's just we know what happens after Endgame, and then we know what Spidey does.
Yeah, so we don't know what's happening. Like, we don't know the saga.
Oh, you mean we don't know like what their plan is for the next? No, I guess not. Okay. I mean, we know what movies are coming out, but I guess we don't know who like what's the big bad villain is going to be overall. What they're going to do there.
Mephisto. I remember people were talking about Mephisto during WandaVision, even though that never happened.
Interesting.
But he's like Satan, basically.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then Guardians 2, I think, has one of the best scenes in like any of the Marvel movies, where Yondu is just like killing everybody in that ship with his little whistle
thing.
I forget what song plays. There's some
There's literally
classic
so much
song
music
that plays, and it's super cool. And Yondu's just like woo.
Is it Whoa Black Betty?
Things? No, it's not. And he's
I
just
am
like killing everybody, and it's really cool and badass. And then Rip Yondu, he dies in
Is
this
it
movie.
Ocean Man?
Ocean Man. No, it's not Ocean Man.
Yeah, I don't know then. Those are my two guesses.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, and
Guardians 2 is good.
Yeah.
James Gunn goes back to back.
You do.
Then we get in 2017. Also, we get Spider-Man: Homecoming from John Watts,
Which people loved. People loved Spider-Man: Homecoming. People were so happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
One, not being an origin
story
movie to actually go far as back as when he got his powers. He still only has powers for a little bit at this time,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't go all the way back, and people really appreciated that. And I would say I appreciate that as well.
Yes.
I've spoken about how I don't really like this Spider-Man very much.
You don't like Tom Holland?
I like Tom Holland when he's not doing the baby voice. I hate it. It makes me feel like a crazy person, but I swear he's making a voice like a little baby, and it drives me insane. I can't listen to it. And here's the thing. I guess because I know not in movies, but I just remember being like, oh, they cast a new Spider-Man. Let me look him up before I even saw the movie. And so I guess I just saw him out of context as he was like a gymnast or something. And I remember some of the first photos I saw of him were him being like ultra ripped on like a balance beam or some shit. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And then the next time I see him, he's like, hello, I'm a little baby. And I was like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's probably part of it.
I don't know. I never got bothered by him.
Yeah, there's
Must
no
just
reason
be a
to.
you thing.
Must be. I mean, I really just thought he was Miles, because he kind of is, even down to the roommate and stuff.
Ned,
and not that there's anything. I mean, I wish they could have just made it Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker. And they were just like, oh, let's skip Peter, let's go straight to Miles. Fuck it,
Yeah.
However, it's a double-edged sword though, because Tom Holland was so similar to Miles Morales, they had to change his character a little bit for Into the Spider-Verse. And that movie rocks.
Spider-Verse rules.
The movie's fantastic. So I'm willing to take the beating on Homecoming so that the Spider-Verse can exist.
Right.
So I'm thankful for that.
So yeah.
They change a lot of things about Spider-Man that like... Spider-Man was definitely the hero that I knew the best. Because obviously they're the original movies and I had video games and stuff like that.
Okay.
And Spider-Man, the identity was always huge because his family, was like an old woman who is completely defenseless even against normal people.
Right.
So him keeping them safe was like a huge deal for him. And why it worked in Spider-Man was because Peter Parker was, like a huge loser. Nobody liked him or talked to him except for Harry. Right. So when he would disappear, nobody noticed because nobody noticed him anyway. And he was always that kind of self-insert for all the lonely nerds reading comic books, I think. That was like the idea behind him at the very least. It's like, oh, look, if this nerd that nobody talks to or notices can be cool, maybe you can too.
Yeah.
Right? At least that's the vibe you get from it. And not that he's not a nerd, but he's pretty popular. He's like on the team and he only gets bullied by like Flash and it's like light bullying.
Yeah.
He doesn't get like beat up. He's just like, oh, you're kind of lame.
Yeah. Right.
No Flash, quit it.
Stop it.
But yeah, it's different. And of course they have Michelle Jones now instead of Mary Jane, which is another change. They went different enough that like at the end of the day, that's not the stuff that bothers me. That it's a change. I just wish it could have been a bit more interesting to me personally.
You don't like that Aunt May is a MILF?
Gilf. But no, that is a great change. I mean, she was always a Gilf, even in the Sam Raimi ones.
Okay.
Yeah, you disagree?
No, that's fine. And I think this movie is the one that has that funny Captain America meme where he's like, "So
Yeah.
you got detention." That's a classic.
That's good. What did you think of The Vulture?
I mean, who doesn't like my man
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton?
He's great.
Great actor. He's very menacing.
Yeah,
in the film.
Easily the best scene in the film to me is dropping them off at the prom or whatever, and he's catching on. He's talking to him, he's being very, very forward with what he's trying to say. Great, fantastic. These films, the Spider-Man ones, do have a little bit of a different feel, I feel, from most of the other Marvel stuff. Mm-hmm. They have a little bit of a touch that's kind of its own thing. So I appreciate them for that as well.
Yeah. And then, yay, Spider-Man wins.
Yeah, he fights the Vulture, and then the Vulture goes to prison and talks to the Scorpion.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows if that happens, if that's going to turn into the Sinister or whatever.
Cool.
Who knows? That could go.
They got some sort of plan.
Maybe. Wait, so you like that one? How much?
Homecoming? Yeah, I thought it was all right. That was all right.
Okay. Yeah.
It was good. But you know what's great? The very next movie that comes out, directed by Taika Waititi, saving the Thor IP.
Yeah.
With Thor Ragnarok, totally flipping everything we thought about Thor on its head and made maybe the best Marvel movie.
I remember I was mad at myself because I didn't watch Thor Ragnarok when it came out because I was like, Thor
again? No, the first two sucked.
So I'm pretty sure I actually watched Black Panther before I ended up seeing this one.
Oh.
But, man, great.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok is
saves
awesome.
Thor.
Yeah, Taika Waititi knew exactly what he was doing.
Coming back, he's going to be doing Love and Thunder as well, which I'm sure will be just as good, if not better. Thor Ragnarok, how does that start? It's him and Loki.
It starts when he's dangling by the chain and he's like in hell.
Oh, yeah, and he's fighting all that Draugr.
Yeah, and that's when you like first notice that like the movies can be different because it's funny. Because there's a part where he's like talking to the thing, but he's like spinning on the chain. And then he gets like turned around. He's like, "Oh, hold on, wait for me to turn back around."
Right.
But yeah, Taika Waititi does a good job of tapping into Chris Hemsworth's no, I had trouble there. Just like his charm and charisma.
Yeah.
And he does a great job.
Also, I felt like the big accomplishment of this one was establishing more of that Thor and Loki connection.
The brotherly love.
Very, very cool. Just seeing that development, I guess, for Loki. Even if...
Because he's pretending to be Odin. And Thor's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And Matt Damon's in this movie.
Oh, God.
Remember that part?
Jeez. Wow. Yeah, that's like an Elon Musk thing right there. Yeah. Thor Ragnarok also got Hulk in it for a little bit.
Right. We finally learned where Hulk went because after Age of Ultron, he disappears because he flies away.
I forget who specifically. I don't know if it was well, it wouldn't have been Taika Waititi, but it was somebody on the production. They had shown their kids part of the movie or whatever. And it was actually the kid's idea to have Thor say, "Oh, I know him. He's a friend from work."
Oh, really?
That was actually just one of the kids was like, "It would be funny if he said this," and they put it in the movie.
And it was funny.
And Hulk getting stuff too in his Hulk form.
Yeah, he's basically Hulk almost the whole time.
Almost the whole time, yeah.
No Banner, only Hulk.
And they just even add a few more just supporting characters.
Jeff Goldblum.
That are fun. Jeff Goldblum as well, yeah.
Wins the movie.
It takes on, kind of like a Guardians feel to it, just kind of that having fun with the mythology and the characters and the settings, because why wouldn't it be wild? It doesn't have to be grounded. Look at where you are right now, look at what's happening.
And we also get Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie,
right?
She's the one that captures Thor and takes him to the like duel arena or whatever where he meets Hulk. and then they all team up together and to fight Hel, Kate Blanchett as Hel, who destroys Thor's hammer, by the way.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing that happens.
And
like
Asgard. Sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, Asgard isn't
Anthony
a
Hopkins
place.
dies too.
Asgard is a
Odin.
people.
Right.
Yeah.
They let loose whatever the big demon's name is. They're like, let's let him loose, and they destroy it. And then
Hulk.
Asgard, they got everybody on the ship.
Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that funny moment where they're like in the ship, and Bruce Banner finally got turned back into himself, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna jump down there and fight or whatever. And he's like, and he jumps down there, but he doesn't turn. He just smacks into the bridge. That was a funny part. But Thor Ragnarok, great stuff.
Killer. Can't wait for Love and Thunder.
Yeah, for real. Excited for that one. And then we get in 2018, Ryan Coogler comes in and directs Black Panther. I mean, this movie quite literally like shook the planet.
Yes, big deal. I remember being extremely well received by most people. There was a certain group of people that didn't like this movie very much, along with one we'll be talking about in a year. Yeah. But overall, everyone was like, yeah, this shit rocks. And as far as like design goes, I mean, just look at that cup even.
Oh, yes. I have this really cool cup from the premiere. When we went to the premiere, it's a cool little like Wakanda
styled cup, yeah.
Cup.
But I mean, costumes to the just production design of this whole Wakanda architecture and everything.
Yeah.
The pools and the waterfalls and the springs.
Well, it won the
like
costume design and the production design Academy Awards.
But it was, especially looking at any of the other films, I mean, it's just a amazing departure to how much art went into the film, you know. Yeah. Of just
really
design
amazing.
of all the stuff. Very, very cool. And the suit's awesome as well.
Yeah, the suit's really cool. And then it just kind of has a different feel than most of the other. It doesn't really feel like superhero-y, and it's much more grounded. I like how like the stakes aren't like the world's gonna end. Yeah, it's basically the more true. Like just the conflict within Wakanda and like T'Challa's like internal conflict.
Yeah, I mean it still was a big thing because he would have declared war on. Like,
yeah, I mean world. Killmonger was gonna. Yeah, his plan was to like be a terrible person.
Yeah,
but it's not like
It's not literally, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then of course the whole idea of Wakanda being a hidden like civilization that doesn't really mess with anybody else. That's what got overturned at the end of this.
Yep.
He said like Wakanda would kind of open up and deal with the rest of the world.
Yeah, he opens the first Wakandan outreach center.
Yeah, it is so weird though, because if you take it into the context of what we assume the rest of the world is like our world, you know, they bring it up slightly in the film where they're like, we have all this tech and the rest of the Africa is like how the rest of Africa is. And they bring it up for like just a second. I think it might have been like Daniel Kaluuya or someone who brings it up. And it's like, yeah, that's a point that you got where it's like, you're not doing anything for like the entire continent. You're just kind of like the city and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's such a like political kind of idea that obviously is not touched on really at all. But I guess I don't know if I appreciate it or not, because it's like you bring it up but you don't do anything with it, you know. So I don't know how that makes me feel.
I don't know, maybe we'll get some more insight in Black Panther 2.
Wakanda Forever.
I don't know. But yeah, and then Killmonger, one of the better villains of the MCU. Put him in the top 3, I think. Especially since I just rewatched it.
And the soundtrack too.
The soundtrack, like the actual like original score, and then like the soundtrack from Kendrick Lamar and SZA. That shit bangs.
Yeah, that's great.
I was actually jamming out to that today.
I bet.
Yeah, that it's a good album if you haven't listened to it.
Right. I guess really at the end of the day, because I don't think Black Panther is like top 5 personally.
No, but it's in the top. It's in the upper echelon.
Yeah, it really, I guess when I try to dissect it, it's a normal Marvel movie, but it just gets all the benefits of the score and the production design and the costumes. You know, it's like just take the normal stuff and then add all these, you know, bits of icing on top. You know,
add Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler, sure. And you know, you get one that's better than average.
Yeah.
So it had that in its favor.
Yeah.
And Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, exactly. And Chadwick Boseman, like, hello, incredible.
Hello, yeah.
So yeah, and then it all leads to this moment. Avengers: Infinity War from the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
The movie that literally changed like superhero movies. Mm-hmm. This is my personal favorite Marvel movie. I mean, I don't know what. There's like not many things that I don't really like about it. It starts off hot. Thanos shows up, ready to rumble, beats the fucking shit out of Hulk in like 30 seconds.
So establishing his power immediately.
Yep.
You know,
kills Loki. Yep. Breaks his neck.
And it takes place, just to say where it starts, literally like right after Thor Ragnarok ends.
Yeah. It's
like 10 seconds apart.
Freaking kills him. Takes a stone. I think he has like 2 stones or something at that point. Whatever. And then freaking goes and whatever, does this stuff. And then Thor meets up with the Guardians, the Galaxy. And, you know, he goes to forge his new hammer with Tyrion Lannister.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And he makes Stormbreaker.
Or with Trask. You mean?
Is that his name?
No, that's him in X-Men.
Oh, see, I didn't even know.
Peter Dinklage in X-Men, remember?
No.
You don't remember Peter Dinklage being in X-Men?
No.
But I thought... No, you like Apocalypse the most, that's right.
Yep, because it's the best one.
Right, okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, just as the freaking epic battles. And this movie, this is Thanos. It's called Avengers: Infinity War, but it's literally about Thanos is the main character of this movie, and he's really great. He's, I think he's by far the best villain in the series. I mean, I don't think it's close. I don't think anyone really contests that.
It's also not fair.
Yeah. It is not fair.
Yes.
But, you know, still, Josh Brolin as Thanos, amazing. Mm-hmm. The CGI job on Thanos, amazing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we learned so much about Thanos and, you know, his past and what his ideals are. And, like, you know, is Thanos wrong? Maybe not, but maybe going about it the wrong way.
Right. The end isn't wrong. It's the means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then, you know, they have crazy epic battle and then snap. And half of everyone that we love dear just dies. I mean, I remember being in the theater when that happened, and it was just dead silent, and people were just disappearing, and everyone was just like, you could hear people just like sighing, and then you get to the part where Peter starts going, and everyone's like I literally remember vividly sitting in the theater, and like a lot of people have already died or whatever, and then you like see people like disappearing, and Tony Stark. It's like a shot of Tony, and you hear Peter. He's like, Mr. Stark, and everyone's like, everyone's like, oh no,
right, yeah.
And then like, you know, he dies or whatever, and everyone's crying.
See, that's weird because I started laughing because I was like, oh, haha, funny. He's trying to say something, then in the middle of it, he just died.
Yeah, right. And then you know, it literally just ends.
Yeah,
and
it just ends right dead. There where it's like, yes, death.
And there's no after credit scene. There's nothing.
Well, there's just like a title card that's like, there will be a part 2.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
And then I remember it was just, everyone was just like stunned. And then you just like left. And no, you know, it wasn't like the usual like happiness at the end of a Marvel movie. Everyone was just like, oh my god. Well,
because originally, wasn't it called Part 1?
Yes.
And it was supposed to be called Infinity War Part 2, but they changed it to Endgame.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. Mm-hmm. I hate the name Endgame. I'll just say that right now. I just don't like the sound of it.
Yeah, Infinity War Part 2 was fine.
It was fine. Whatever. Yeah, Infinity War is great. It really accomplishes balancing all these characters, I think, in a nice way, giving who's important enough screen time and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's an accomplishment. And I guess the other thing I appreciate is that the whole haha funny takes a bit of a back seat for a little bit, at least. You know?
It's still, it has its jokes and stuff, but it's not like...
It has the brevity, sure.
Especially when it wants to get serious, it gets
does.
serious. Like, there's no funny joke when people are disappearing.
Yeah. And even though, at the bottom of your heart, you knew, you're like, oh, well, they're going to come back.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I feel like I remember being like, Loki...
No, because, Loki, like, dies. And same with Gamora.
Yeah,
she dies,
right.
dies.
She dies. So it's kind of interesting to see that, where it's like the big moment. You're like, oh well, they're gonna come back, but Loki, Gamora,
and Heimdall. People forget about Heimdall. He dies.
Yeah, he dies too. I think even the movie kind of forgets about Heimdall. In all fairness.
Well, he's the one that sends Hulk back.
Yeah, they don't give him enough. He was cool. Infinity War, man. Was that your favorite? Well, which one of these had your favorite theater experience? Have we gotten there yet?
I mean, it's either Infinity War or Endgame, even though I don't like Endgame. Just like I remember like the feeling going up to seeing Endgame, and then like you could feel the energy like before it even started, and then like, I was angry at the movie when it was happening, but I mean, when Cap picks up Mjolnir and everyone was like, oh, I was like, yeah, okay, this is cool. Yeah. But I don't know which one I preferred. I mean, probably Infinity War, just because I like the movie more.
Is Infinity War when Vision picks up the hammer?
No, Vision picks up the hammer in Avengers.
Age of Ultron. It was
because he just like comes by and he just picks it up and says, "Hey, did you drop this?"
Yeah, that was actually probably a good part in Age of Ultron when
they're all trying to pick it up
and Steve jostles it a little bit. That was nice.
Yeah, that was a funny little touch.
I still would love if they made Hulk pick up the hammer. That would be
brute strength.
I'm pretty sure that's happened like once. I just think that's so cool.
It is cool. He's a strong guy.
That's like, what the fuck?
Which makes me think, how heavy is it?
Right. Well, it's not supposed to even be heavy, which is the thing,
Right.
It's like, oh, it's not heavy. It's just you have to be worthy or whatever. Is that something you would like to see like built upon more? Like, would you like to see other characters holding the hammer, or do you think they did it once and they're never going to do it again?
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I think it's cool the one time with Captain America, because it's Captain America, and that's it.
Because I'm pretty sure that Spider-Man's been worthy before of the hammer. I'm trying to think of like who's in the show that like... Yeah, the only one I can think of is Hulk and Spider-Man are two that I know have done it.
Yeah.
Spider-Man makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. Yeah. But, that's whatever. I don't really care too much.
And then Vision, right? Yeah.
Vision, right. But yeah, Infinity War, great.
Love it.
And then we...
Oh, wait, can I talk about one more thing?
Yeah.
Do you remember the trailer for Infinity War?
Yes. It was a lie.
The trailer to Infinity War was a lie.
Yeah.
Because
it was a throw-off.
They had Hulk on like the Wakandan battlefield at the end of the movie. Hulk wasn't there. It's actually Hulk Buster, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he can't get Hulk to work.
Yeah. So they just straight up lie in the trailer. How did you feel about that?
Fine by me.
I don't know. Because I definitely think it was part of like Marvel movies in general, or maybe it was just all movies at this time and even today, where it's like the trailers are just showing too much, and it's like you basically get the whole movie, especially when you have movies so formulaic.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, don't show me so much. I want to have something to like discover in the film,
Mm-hmm.
And if that persists today, I don't know. I guess it's up to you. I honestly don't watch as many trailers anymore because of this. You know? But the idea of it being like, I don't know, like anti-spoiler to itself or something, I just don't know how to feel about that. It just seems like a weird misdirection for no reason. But I think the idea of spoiler talk at all, maybe it's just because I've grown up and am now an adult and talk about movies, so I'm more in that scene. But I feel like the whole spoiler warning thing like blew up with Marvel movies.
For sure.
It's
Definitely
like, oh, don't tell me what happens there. I haven't seen this part of the saga yet. I haven't seen this movie and this movie. Don't talk about those characters.
I remember, like, before Infinity War came out, there was, like, on Twitter and stuff, everyone was like, you can't spoil Infinity War until 2 weeks after the movie came out. I remember
that, yeah.
And everyone just kind of agreed, like, 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So then, like, during that 2-week period, a new meme was born where they were like, Infinity War spoilers without context.
Yeah,
and it would just be like random pictures. Like, if you've seen it, you would get it, but otherwise you wouldn't.
So it's stuff like that where I think about spoiler culture or whatever a lot.
Yeah.
Just because we have a show where we talk about media and we give out spoiler warnings a lot. But it's to an extent where I think that the idea of a spoiler has been like modified. It's been like transfigured into something it's not. Because knowing that a certain thing happens in a movie doesn't mean it's a spoiler. Because if you're like, oh, this guy punches this guy in the face in this movie. It's like, okay, that happens, but unless it's plot critical, that's not a spoiler to me. I think people just get oversensitive with it, where they're like, I can't know Captain America's in the Captain America movie. He lives at the end. Fuck, damn it, you spoiled the movie. You know,
okay.
It's not like, oh, this guy's actually a bad guy. Like that's a spoiler, right? A twist, stuff like that. I even think the idea of telling somebody there is a twist can be a spoiler, because then you're like looking for it when you watch the movie. But I really think that it just has made people a little touchy about what's actually considered a spoiler or not, and it gets on my nerves a little bit, because I'll say something totally innocuous and people get pissed off, be like, I can't believe you spoiled that movie for me. I think someone yelled at me for spoiling Miles Morales the video game for them because I talked about like one of the powers he gets. Like, I think I mentioned the invisibility. And they're like, I can't believe you just spoiled that for me. And I was like, what? Dude, invisibility? Like, I'm pretty sure, one, it was in the trailer,
Yeah.
That's another thing. Is stuff that's in trailers spoilers? Because they do reveal a lot. Is that, like, safe to talk about? That's, like, discourse that happens. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, yes, technically, I guess, yeah, they are spoilers, but, like... No, if like you've seen it, like,
right?
No.
I'm just saying the whole idea of all this marketing and all this stuff that's centered on, oh, this big thing happens in this movie, has just really modified what spoilers are to people nowadays, and it's aggravating to me because I think the whole spoiler warning stuff is just like out of control.
You know what's not aggravating to me? Thanos quotes. You know what doesn't get old? Thanos
Perfectly
quotes.
Balanced. So
as all things should be. This movie just birthed the Thanos meme.
Yeah.
Which has been going strong for 3 years running, and there's no signs of stopping.
What's your favorite Thanos quote?
That's a toughie. I mean, there's a lot. There's classic perfectly balanced as all things should be. There's all that for a drop of blood. I love that one. That's a great one. From Endgame, there's I am inevitable.
Yeah. I like so much smegma.
Oh.
It's probably my favorite Thanos quote. I love that one.
Stop
Just
it.
classic Thanos.
Thanos enters the room.
What do we got next? What's after?
The great movie Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Wow, what a horribly timed movie.
Terrible. Yeah, maybe if it came out at a different time, people might have different feelings.
I hate Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, but like, see, the thing was, it came out like a couple months after Infinity War, and then you're supposed to have Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is like before Infinity War. So you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's dead, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp is like, haha, funny, look, we go tiny.
But to be fair, the ending of the movie it had to happen because it is the snap.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
They wrote themselves into a corner with that one, I think, just for the general feelings. I hated the villain. It was like Ghost or whatever. She would like walk through walls or some shit.
Yeah, lame.
Didn't like it. Again, personally, I just don't find the Ant-Man movies that funny.
Yeah. So
they just didn't do it for me. But it's a big setup for his role in Endgame. So it serves that end. But other than that, I felt like they didn't really do anything more too interesting with like his power set or anything.
Yeah,
Just didn't interest me too much.
it's not that great.
Not that
We
great.
got no more time to spend on it. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp is probably like the least known. I feel like no one ever talks about it.
Yeah, you don't hear it.
But,
you don't hear about it.
Yeah. Anyway, then we get the worst movie ever, Captain Marvel.
The worst movie ever.
From Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. This movie sucks.
Yeah, women just should not be the leads. She needs to smile more. Don't you agree?
Wait, who said that?
Everybody. They're like, why isn't she smiling on the poster? It's like,
what?
How fucking dense. No, there are people that were like that. They're like, oh, she's emotionless and she doesn't care. And Brie Larson can't act.
Anyway, those are not our problems with the movie. The problems with the movie is that the movie is
The
not
movie
good.
sucks. Yeah, that's the problem.
I like Brie Larson. She's cool. She's good as Captain Marvel. But the movie just makes no sense and is boring and is stupid.
Yeah, it somehow moves too fast and drags at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So it's like she like gets her powers because like the ship blows up and it has like Tesseract in it or whatever.
Yeah, some stone stuff in it.
And she gets epic powers. And
Yeah.
then she goes and becomes Captain Marvel and fights the crawl. There's like the Scree and the crawl.
Yeah, something like that.
Or whatever. And like turns out that she like thinks that the Scree are bad, but it turns out that it's actually the crawl who are bad. The Scree are just trying to like live. And then Jude Law is like,
bitch,
stupid.
Yeah.
And then like she wins. I
that
guess.
was like one of the worst final confrontations.
I don't remember.
She just like punches him like once. It was really bad. It was a very, very bad final confrontation in that movie. This is so stupid, but I think in Civil War or something, Captain America was talking to Nick Fury and they were talking about his eye. And Nick Fury was like, last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye. And in this movie, it's revealed that the cat scratched his eye.
It's the cat that's not actually a cat.
And it's like, so that's who you trusted was the kitty?
Yeah.
Just made that line stupid.
It's funny, though.
It is kind of funny. But
yeah, Captain Marvel, listen. Captain Marvel's cool. But they should have let her come into the franchise after Endgame. After Endgame. That's what I'm saying. After Endgame, then she can have her time. Because Captain Marvel, like, actually ruins Endgame.
Jeez.
I will get into this.
Okay, yeah, I'm eager for that.
But, like, she's just, like, came in at the absolute wrong time, in my opinion.
I wonder where she could have, if she needed to be in Endgame, where are you thinking, like, right before Infinity War instead?
She needed more time, for sure, yeah. If they really wanted her to be in Endgame, she needed more time to, like, do things and not just show up and win.
So would you have put her movie before Infinity War and then have her actually be in Infinity War as well?
Probably. I mean, my choice is to X her out.
Okay.
And don't let her come in until whatever the next phase is. Then we can get Captain Marvel to do whatever.
Yeah, we don't know what really she's going to be up to, I guess.
That's my thing.
The alien races are obviously still a thing. We saw that in WandaVision, that they're still, like, around. Yeah. And Far From Home.
But if she had to be in Infinity or in Endgame, yeah, I would put it like before Infinity War and maybe have her show up in that for a little bit or something.
Yeah, do something at all.
Because the Captain Marvel movie has nothing to do with anything. It's just her origin.
Right. It happens like in the 90s or whenever.
Yeah, it's even earlier. It's like the 60s or something.
Anyway,
yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Let's get to Avengers Endgame, directed by the Russo brothers.
Sure. Yeah.
Classic. This is literally the biggest movie of all time.
It's 3 hours and fucking something minutes.
It's like 3 hours and 7 minutes or something like that. This was a huge deal.
Yeah, pretty big deal.
And they dropped the ball, according to me. A lot of people really like this, and that's great.
Everybody I know who isn't you, who was into Marvel stuff, is like, yeah, Endgame's great.
Okay.
For me personally, Endgame is definitely 100% the nitpickiest you can get, just because there's so much that they just toss around.
They just, I don't know why they did it. I'll start with this. You create the second in your script you write that time travel will exist in your movie, you create 100 million problems.
Yes.
Time travel is the trickiest thing
Yeah.
to deal with in a movie or anything. And the only thing I've ever seen that deals with time travel well is Dark.
Exactly. And they had 3 seasons dedicated to like the single idea.
Yes. And to just throw it in this movie and have it just... So, Avengers Endgame starts. Hawkeye's family gets snapped. Oh my gosh, terrible, sad.
Yeah.
Then you get like them being like, oh my gosh, everyone's gone, we lost.
And you have one of the Russo brothers being like, I'm gay.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
And it made me mad.
But so I actually enjoyed the first like 30 minutes of Endgame.
Yeah, it's somber.
It's like kind of like sad.
contemplative.
They're just like kind of dealing with like everything that happened.
Yeah.
And they go and they're like, let's go confront Thanos. We had the reading that like the stones, Nebula's like, he would be here. They go there and Thanos is like, I used the stones to destroy the stones. Now I look over a grateful universe. And then Thor's like, and cuts his head off, which was, when I saw that in the theater, I remember watching the first time, I was like, this cannot be good. I remember thinking, I was like, this cannot be good that they just actually killed Thanos at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then cut to Scott Lang. He's stuck inside the quantum realm.
Man.
So it's been 5 years now, or whatever we learned, 5 years since they chopped Thanos' head off. And the van or whatever that the quantum thing was in is like chilling in this facility, and a rat just like walks over the board and like clicks it on.
Well,
and then he flies
maybe
out.
we'll find out in the next saga that the rat was actually like Rat Man.
Oh, there we
know,
go.
and it was like a
that'll
superhero.
get it.
Could be.
And then he shows up and he's like, "What is happening?" Which is a cool little part where he's like really confused. Obviously, he's like, "I don't know what happened." And then he meets up with them and he's like, "Now listen, what if we go quantum, but then we come out of quantum at like a different point, and that's like time travel? I know it sounds crazy, but just like, what if?" And that's when I was like, "Oh no, it's not looking good.
This isn't great."
So they go and talk to Tony, who's come to terms with everything finally, and he has a kid, and he's like, yes, everything is cool now.
Yep.
And I don't want to do this anymore. We tried our best, and look what happened. So we need to not do this anymore, okay? Look what happens when we try to do things. And they're like, but what if? And then obviously he gets in Tony's head, and he's like, oh my gosh, I created time travel.
Okay, here's the thing. I know it might sound stupid because they're superheroes and it's space and it's whatever, right? But just the idea that creating time travel is like an afternoon thing for them. It takes like one afternoon, not even the whole day. It's like afternoon into the night and they're like, done.
Yeah, Tony's like, oh, I made it.
Like, why couldn't it have been the 5 years that everybody was gone? You know?
Yeah.
Instead of literally an afternoon. Unless I'm totally remembering it wrong. Well,
No,
they were working on it, but they're like, Tony, we need your help. And Tony just solves it in an afternoon. Right?
That's what it seems like anyway.
Yeah. And it's just like, man, time travel.
Yeah.
It's just a suspension of disbelief thing. Where it's like you set up certain rules. And now it's a universe in which time travel exists. And I doubt we'll see very often ever again.
Yeah.
And not only time travel, also like immortality.
Yes.
Because they do the time travel wrong and they make themselves younger.
Yeah, I don't know.
So if somebody wanted, they could just make themselves younger over and over and over and just be a superhero forever.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, I wanted to say earlier, Captain Marvel, she shows up right at the beginning of the movie.
Haircut.
She literally just shows up because Tony and Nebula are going to die on the ship, and she just like shows up out of nowhere and it's like, hey, I'll take you guys here. Takes them there. They go and they kill Thanos, and then she's like, okay, I got to leave. There's a lot of other planets that need help. Okay, see ya.
Yeah, bye.
And she leaves. And then they're like, let's do this time thing, because the Hulk now is like
Smart Hulk.
He's like Smart Hulk. I think that's what they call it. It's like Hulk. He looks like Hulk, but he talks like Bruce Banner.
Yeah, he's just normal.
And there's a little funny scene where like the kids come up to take the picture with him. He's like, "Oh yeah, guys, yeah."
Or the taco.
And the taco part's funny.
Yeah.
And then they're at the Avengers facility, and Tony Stark rolls up and he's like, "Oh, I figured it out. I know how to do time travel now.
Yep.
Let's do it." And then they're like, "Okay, cool. Let's do time travel so we can
kill Thanos as a baby."
And then Rhodey's like, "Yeah, we can just do that." And he's like, "No, we can't do that." And he's like, "Why not? It's Thanos."
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, that's not how time travel works in this one. It's actually not time travel at all.
Yeah, and then they try to explain, like, whatever. And then there's, like, this weird joke or something where they're like, "So you're telling me Back to the Future was all a lie?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
And they just never explain the time travel. They just, like, say that they, like, go quantum at a certain point, and then they leave quantum at another point.
Well, the way that the Sorcerer Supreme explains it is that it's not time travel because they can't go in their own timeline. It's just, like, dimension hop. Like, it's multiverse hopping, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, travel to a timeline where this hasn't happened yet and steal their stones, right?
Yeah, then it creates another thing.
So really time travel is just like not the right word.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's what it is. That's what they say all the time.
Yeah.
And they're just like, it's the time heist.
Yeah, it's... So that really bugs me because it's not time travel, but they all buy in and they don't even make that like a joke. They're just like, no, time travel, even though we explicitly stated that it's not.
Yeah, but it like kind of is. But anyway, whatever. Either way. So then that's like... Then we start like the second part of the movie, which is the nostalgia nonsense.
Oh,
this is my least favorite part of this. The middle part of Avengers Endgame sucks.
Middle hour or whatever.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's literally just, it's nothing new. So we go back to whatever. They figure out where all the stones are.
Yeah.
So they can go back. They go back to the first Avengers
New
movie.
York.
And they're like, "Oh, ha, look at all this. Look at this. Remember this? Ha.
Hulk,
Hey, man,
haha,
remember this?
when you
Look,
were
it's Hulk.
angry?
It's funny.
He's like, oh my
Remember
gosh.
Loki? Ha, funny.
Oh, look, he got away.
Remember this?
Fuck.
Oh, no, they fucked up.
Got a TV show now.
Yeah, Loki got away. That and we make a TV show about it.
Yeah.
And then oh no, they messed up. We got to go back even farther. But we only have enough
So
Pym
many
particles
Pym
to do it. So we got to go back to a point where we can get the Pym particles too. Tony gets to talk to his daddy.
Yeah.
Yay. They get the stuff.
Yeah, eventually.
Whatever. They all get the stuff.
Eventually.
Oh! Hold on.
Okay.
My second least favorite part in the whole movie happens during the time heist.
Okay.
It is when Natasha and Hawkeye go to retrieve the Soul Stone.
I couldn't imagine why.
This part is terrible. So they find out, they're like, Red Skull is like, yes, a soul for a soul.
Red Skull's here, by the way.
Yeah.
Red Skull was pushed into a portal and came
Yeah,
here.
we find that out in Infinity War, but
Yeah,
we never really talked about it.
No, I didn't.
And they're like, oh man, let's think about this for a second. And then they're like, okay. And then they're both like, I'll do it. And they're like, wait, no, you can't.
What?
You can't die. I have to die.
Hawkeye, what are you talking about? Like, what?
This is crazy. They're doing this so they can bring everyone back, which would be Hawkeye's entire family.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'll just die.
And Natasha has no family.
She has nothing.
She has the Avengers, and that's it.
And she's like, you know what? This is my time. And instead of him just being like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
So she's like, I'm going to make a run for it.
He's like, no, I'm going to kill myself. Oh my gosh, it's so stupid.
So then they have like this really stupid fight where they're like both running, trying to jump off the cliff, and they're just like hitting each other to like stop. And then eventually they're like hanging like this, and Natasha just like pushes off and like lets go wherever she goes and dies. Rest in peace, Black Widow. And Jeremy Renner's like,
yeah, I'm very glad that Black Widow and Hulk's relationship really got to form and be a real thing before she died.
Mm-hmm.
I was very happy with that development.
And then another great thing that happens is Nebula is like,
I like Nebula
on whatever planet Morag to get the Power Stone from, where Peter Quill's gonna be, whatever.
Purple.
And then they're like, she's like,
I'm Cyborg.
Zappy, and she's zapping into the other Nebula's mind and it just like automatically projects.
It was just like Bluetooth seeing. Or whatever.
And then Thanos is like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
What happened? He's like, oh, this must be an alternate universe where I've already done what I've planned to do.
On it.
So he's like, I must find out everything.
Yes.
So then he sits and he like finds out everything, whatever.
He's got his double sword thing.
Right. And Nebula has like the gold in her, which is important because the other Nebula comes in and like beats up the good Nebula and then takes it and disguises herself so she can come back. Mm-hmm. Whatever. They all get the stones. They all come back. And they're like, where's Nat? And Jeremy Renner's like,
hell.
And then they have like a little funeral for her. Very nice.
And then I don't even remember how Nebula got the fleet there.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So they have all the stones.
Right, and they're like,
okay, we need to snap and bring everybody back. And they're like, yeah, okay. And then Hulk's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Makes sense.
I'll snap it up. He's the Hulk. Yeah. So he puts the gauntlet on. He's like, and whatever, he snaps. And then he's like, falls over, and half of his body's like all shredded.
But he lives. He's good.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, it's fine. And then they're like, did it work? Did it work?
Huh?
And I actually like this part.
Okay.
But it's just the moment where they're all just like, whoa. And you can see like kind of like birds flying. And then like Hawkeye's getting a call from his wife. Mm-hmm. Very nice. And then Scott Lang is like looking out the window. And he's like, guys, I think it worked. Mm-hmm. But anyway, at the same time, Nebula, who they think is the good Nebula, but is actually the bad Nebula, disguised as a good Nebula, is like standing next to the quantum machine that they use to do the time travel. And if I remember correctly, she has like a mini Thanos ship.
Oh, okay.
It could be tripping though.
I don't know.
Either way, she messes with the portal somehow so that they
can all come through.
They come through the portal.
Yeah.
And then the ship is in the sky, and then Thanos. I hate this part. I like the part. I think it's cool, but I hate what happens after it. Scott Lang is like, guys, I think it worked, and then Thanos fucking destroys the whole Avengers facility in a second.
Yeah, just to dust.
And realistically, I know this is a superhero movie.
Yes.
And it's not realistic. But
Ant-Man's just a dude.
Ant-Man is a dude.
In a suit.
Rocket Raccoon is literally a raccoon.
Oh, he's not, though.
Yeah, but he would die.
Yes. But he's not a raccoon.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole facility gets blown up with like 95 missiles, and it all caves in on itself. And Hawkeye is literally a dude.
Yeah, he's just there.
And they all live. Mm-hmm. That's
not even one casualty.
That is honestly unforgivable.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Just to me.
I mean, that's kind of how I was feeling a lot. I was like, up to this point, who dies before like Infinity War? Quicksilver.
Yeah, who's not prominent. Not
some villains die, but that doesn't really matter.
No one important.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And so when you have a movie like this and then Iron Man and Captain America, right? That's it? The casualties in this one?
And Natasha.
Right. Okay, yeah. So you get it's a little bit rewarding, but still.
I think it's just them three.
Yeah.
Well, and then obviously we have Infinity War 2, which is Vision and Gamora.
Yeah. So that adds up to a pretty good count.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway,
Heimdall
they're all miraculous. Like, listen, War Machine, I get it. He has the suit.
Yeah,
Iron Man has the suit. Hulk is Hulk. He's not going to die. Everyone else would just be in pieces, tiny pieces.
Yeah.
But, okay, listen, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
They're all alive. They're trapped under whatever. Now they have to get out. Ant-Man went tiny, I guess.
Sure.
So that's how he's okay.
Even though I'm pretty sure we saw his body get blown
Yeah, his
back,
body literally just... Whatever. They get out. Jeremy Renner has the gauntlet, and he's like, "Yay, I have the gauntlet!" And then he like fights all these dudes, and he gets out, and then bad Nebula comes in, but she looks like good Nebula, and he's like, "Oh hey, you're nice. Nebula. Here's the Infinity Gauntlet." And she's like, "I have the stones.
Thanks, loser."
And then Thanos comes in, and is like, "I'm Thanos.
Yeah.
I will sit here and wait."
And then Scarlet Witch. Well, I don't know if that's yet.
No.
Okay.
Because this is one thing that always confused me. I know Thanos is strong.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's pretty strong. He beats up Hulk. Yeah. And I don't think he has any stones when he beats up Hulk.
Might have one.
He might possibly, he might have one. Which is actually kind of important. Because he has no stones at this point. He just shows up.
Yeah, this is way before. It's Guardians 1 Thanos.
Yeah. 2014 Thanos.
Yes. Back in the day.
He shows up in 2023 and is like, "What's up, bitches?" And Iron Man, Thor with Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
Yep.
And Captain America, all three fight Thanos, and he fucking destroys them. Which makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing that I never, like, I don't, maybe they just don't do a good enough job at properly showing how strong Thanos is without, like, just, like, as a normal, like, dude. But that just didn't seem right to me.
Especially with what Captain Marvel does later on.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, oh, is she that strong then? Yeah.
So the three of them can't even beat Thanos, like, normally.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, they don't even touch him. He just destroys them. And then we get the portals scene, which is, like, I mean, that's a great scene.
We never talked about or never mind.
What?
Continue. Well, the Chris Pratt part that everyone was angry about.
In Infinity War?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about it right now. Chris Pratt ruins everything. They're literally about to beat Thanos.
But that's another thing that made me mad because people were like, that's such a plot hole in Infinity War. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. The fact that, like, a lot of people just, like, say, like, they don't understand, like, what a plot hole is.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what?
It's not a plot hole.
It's a character flaw.
Yeah.
You know? So I just remember that being a huge deal with people.
Right.
And I guess it's
plot hole.
Oh my gosh, can't stand it. Anyway,
that sucks. He ruins everything. Yeah. Sucks, but, you know, it makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So then we get the portal scene. Everyone comes back. T'Challa, Doctor Strange, Spidey, Falcon, the Winter Soldier. Everyone comes back, and then they have this huge army battle. Yeah, and they're all like, "Yay!" And then they have this huge battle, and that's when he gets to say "Avengers Assemble," which is a cool little moment. Mm-hmm. And then they have this crazy battle where each of the characters gets their own little interaction.
Yeah, the whole time Doctor Strange is like, there's still one way we can win, everybody. Keep fighting.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry. Everything's okay. And then Thanos is, like, starting to lose, and he's like, rain fire. And then Ebony Maw's like, Saya, our troops. And he's like, I don't care, just do it. And so then he just barrages everything with the explosion, his missiles or whatever, and that goes on for like 5 minutes, and they're literally all gonna die. But then, oh my gosh, they stop shooting. What's happening? All of the little missile shooters on the ship turn up, and they just start shooting in the sky. And you're like, what the heck are they shooting at? Oh my gosh, guys, Captain Marvel,
she's here.
She literally just showed up at the absolutely perfect time when she does. No idea. She could literally be in another galaxy. Yeah. She just happens to show up to Earth at the exact perfect moment.
She's just a Deus Ex Machina.
Yep. And she just shows up and she literally I counted. Okay. She destroys the entire ship in 2 hits.
Okay. So, like, enter, exit, enter, exit?
Yeah. She enters through it, and then she turns around and goes through it again, and the whole ship crashes.
Nice.
And
good for her.
She's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair to her, the whole idea of her character is that she literally is a stone, basically.
I don't mind her being strong. She can be really strong.
It's just they write her into just coming in whenever.
But she serves no purpose except to show up and just win.
Well, because she can't show up for any other reason. Because then what's the...
That's why she shouldn't be in the movie.
Yeah. So
they're literally going to lose, and then Captain Marvel shows up and is like, oh, yes, we win, by the way.
Yeah, and then they play a little bit of a, what do you call it?
Keep away.
Yeah, keep away with the gauntlet.
Yeah, which is a fun little thing.
I remember people being so upset at the woman power moment or whatever. Which I don't even know if I noticed when I watched the movie that it was like specifically all the women.
So what happens is Spider-Man has it and he's like this.
Yeah.
And there's that moment where he's like, "Hi, I'm Peter." And she's like, "Hey, Peter Parker, you got something for me?"
You know they date, right?
Who?
Captain Marvel and Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
In the comics, yeah.
That's cool. And then he's like, "Yeah, here, you can take this." And then she was like, "But I don't know how you're going to get through that." And there's like 100 million enemies. And then, like, I think Pepper shows up and she's like,
in the
"Don't
suit
worry.
or whatever. Yeah.
She's got help."
Yeah.
And then
Valkyrie's there.
all the girls show up.
Is it all of them? All of them, yeah.
They all show up and they're all just like, and then it's like cool little moment. Yeah. Whatever.
Except Natasha.
Right, because she's dead. Yes. And then Captain Marvel and Thanos fight. Yes. And they have this is also, so Thanos still has no stones at this point. Mm-hmm. And he literally grabs Captain Marvel by the feet, spins her around, and throws her across like the field.
Yeah.
How?
He's young Thanos, so he's got all the muscles.
And then, like, Captain Marvel, I guess maybe she just wasn't trying.
Yeah, she's just...
So now she starts trying. She's kicking Thanos' ass. Like, Thanos tries to, like, headbutt her, and she just, like, sits there. She's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, it's nothing.
But then, and probably one of the coolest moments, Thanos, great. Love Thanos. Great guy. He, like, grabs the gauntlet from her or whatever. She's, like, trying to get it back. And he knows he can't beat her, so he takes the Power Stone out of the gauntlet and like grabs it in his hand and punches her in the face. Mm-hmm. A cool little thing.
Good moment.
And then he gets the gauntlet and he's like, "I'm going to snap again."
Yeah.
And he goes to snap, but then, they come in and they stop it and then they tackle him. And then Tony's sitting there and he's like, "Oh, I'm beat." And then Doctor Strange is like,
when does the Wanda part happen?
That happens when everyone gets their moment. Oh,
okay. But I think it's something to point out still.
Right. Yes. It's another thing that I don't like.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it's a cool little thing. So, like, she comes down and she's like, "You took everything from me."
And he's
like, I don't even know who you are. And then she's like, "You will." Whatever. And then they fight. But I hate the fact that the final Thanos that they fight is the Thanos that has, like, no emotional connection to anybody that they're fighting. Yeah. I just don't understand why they had to kill Thanos at the beginning and then just have, like, a different timeline Thanos come in. I feel like I don't feel like I know they could have figured out another way to have them just fight Thanos.
How would you have felt if it was just, like, another villain?
No, that would be even worse.
Yeah.
They can't
not like
put in another.
Not like another crazy one, but I mean, like, what if it was like Ebony Maw, or something?
But he's already dead. He was already dead from the first.
Right,
one.
But it would have been like the other time. I don't know.
That still would have sucked because he's not Thanos.
Right.
He's Squidward.
Yeah, he is Squidward. There is some way I guess they could have done it, but I don't know. I can't really think of one off the top of my head.
Just don't kill Thanos right at the beginning of the movie. Anyway.
But he didn't have a reason to fight anymore, though. You'd have to give him a reason to keep fighting.
Yeah, them trying to kill him.
He just doesn't want to die instead? He's not like suicidal Thanos anymore?
I mean, he wasn't really suicidal in this movie. He just gets caught off guard, and then they capture him.
Did he really put up I remember him not putting up a fight, like, at all.
Well, he's sitting there, like, making soup.
Right, exactly.
And then, like, Captain Marvel just, like, fucking laser beams him from the sky, and he's like, "Ugh!" Yeah. And then, like right after he gets hit by that, they're just all around him.
But right, it's funny how that Thanos struggles immensely when the young Thanos, against Captain Marvel.
Right. Well, in original Thanos' defense, he's
naked
really
too, beat up, yeah.
Really beat up from the snap. Like half his body.
The big Thanos has like all the big armor too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's I guess it would be like prime Thanos when he was in his prime.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway. And then, Doctor Strange is like,
one more.
There's only one way, Tony. Mm. And then Tony goes up and he tries to grab the gauntlet, but he doesn't. He doesn't.
Oh, but
And then he's like, I am
little robots.
inevitable. And then he goes to snap.
Chunk,
Nothing happens. And then he's like,
ka-chunk, ka-chunk.
and then it cuts and Tony's like,
Oh, he's got them all little robots, gloves.
yep. And
Took all
he's
the
got all the
stones.
stones. And this is a cool part.
It is.
I'm not going to lie. It was a cool part. And then he's like, I am Iron Man. Cool final line. Snaps. Bazinga. He snaps all of Thanos' people out of existence. They all just disappear.
Yeah.
And then Thanos just kind of sits down. And then he disappears too. And then Tony Stark dies.
Yeah, he did.
Sad moment. I agree. Sad moment. Cried for sure. I cried. Yeah.
Wasn't it the moment where like Pepper came over and was like, "Oh my gosh, Tony," and then no, Spider-Man came over.
Spider-Man comes over first. Well,
Yeah.
Rhodey's there first, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!"
Right, because he's
and
right
then
there.
Peter like shows up, and he's like, "Ah, Mr. Stark."
I still would like to point out that I'm pretty sure the math works out that they only knew each other for a year. Just saying.
Peter and Tony.
Yeah, I just feel like people are like, "Oh my gosh, they're like father and son." They're like, like they knew each other for a year, and I'm pretty sure for 6 of those months they were in separate countries.
Yeah, so I mean,
It's just that weird effect where it's like, you tell us these characters have this relationship, so we believe it, but I feel like they never really show their relationship too much. But whatever, people like it. Who cares?
He dies. They have a funeral. Funeral's nice. They have that proof that Tony Stark has a heart thing.
Yeah,
They send it out or whatever, and then like literally everyone from like every movie ever, even like side characters, are all there, and it just like shows all of them, and then they're like, okay. Now we have to take the stones back.
His daughter wants hamburgers or something. She's like, I love hamburgers 3000.
That's I actually really like that scene. It's Happy and his daughter.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you want something to eat? She's like, I want hamburger. He's
right,
like,
because that's what Tony wanted when he first got back.
Yeah, and he's like, your dad loved cheeseburgers. And he's like, I'll get you all the cheeseburgers that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Very cute moment.
Especially because it's Jon Favreau,
right.
as well.
Come on.
The added layer to it.
Exactly. And then they're like, and then the movie gets worse still.
Okay.
Captain America is like, yo, I'll take the stones back. Sure.
Yeah, why not?
And they're like, yeah, okay.
Stand on this platform, which for the whole movie has been the way to time travel. Please.
This is it. This is how you time travel right here. They're like, okay, it'll be like 10 seconds, but 10 seconds for us, but as long as he needs.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I can, fine.
Sure. Makes sense.
Boom, he disappears. They count back 10 seconds, and then he doesn't show up. You're like, oh my gosh. What happened to Captain America? And then Bucky's like, looks over, and he's like, oh. And then he's like, Sam, look. And then old Captain America is sitting on the bench. How? Someone, please. Maybe I'm being stupid. I don't know. Somebody please explain to me how he ends up on the bench. How does he get back to that timeline? How?
Was there a second platform?
There couldn't be. That that was just invented.
Right. They literally invented it that afternoon. I'm going to guess
back without
that
going through the thing?
somebody invented a second platform and he accidentally went to that one.
Sure. We'll take it.
Wipe my hands of it, because that's the only explanation. Because if you're just telling me he appeared on the bench, how? The platform teleported him over to the bench for no reason?
Yeah.
And a lot of people that I know internalized it as, oh, he had been living in this timeline the whole time, and he just walked there because he knew it was the time. But they explained that's not how the time travel works. So that's not true either.
And also, he couldn't live in that timeline because Peggy is dead already, and he lived his whole life with her. That was what he went and did.
Right. So it's nonsensical, and I have no idea why they did that.
Yeah. So he's like, I went and lived with Peggy, and he's like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, you can be Captain America now. And he's like, I don't know if I can. He's like, you can. And then he's like, you want to tell me about Peggy? And then we get the good meme. Nope, I don't think I will. Great meme.
Yeah.
And then literally the end of the movie is it shows them dancing.
Yep.
Him and
they
Peggy
kiss.
dancing. They finally get to dance. They kiss, and then yay, movie over.
I guess.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah.
And there you have it, folks. The long-awaited Nick analysis of Avengers Endgame from start to finish.
Yeah.
You're welcome. That
There
is
you
what
go.
I think of the movie. I don't think it's good. Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense to me. There's just too much that you have to hand wave to be like, fine.
The only thing great is Tony Stark. Great ending to his character.
Fantastic. I mean, even Captain America's, aside from the kerfuffle,
Right.
makes
Yeah.
sense for his character. And
Exactly.
That's nice.
Great endings for the characters.
Natasha,
Yeah, she's kind of... But then everyone else, goes on their separate ways. They have more to do.
yeah.
Tony Stark, his arc has completed. Or has it? Because everyone's like, oh, man, great stuff from Tony. And then we get Spider-Man Far From Home. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
Tony Stark? Yeah. Remember that character arc he had? Fuck that, dude.
Who cares?
None of that mattered.
We need to be held in check, you know? That's why I designed this satellite that can kill any human in a minute.
No, because literally, what the fuck?
And I'm going to give it to a 16-year-old.
Yep. That's the premise of Spider-Man Far From Home, the final movie in the Infinity Saga.
Oh, man. It's like the epilogue, they say.
I'll actually be honest. I actually kind of liked this movie.
That's what I'm saying. The movie's not bad. It's just the few things they decide to put in there that it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, so Edith, actually ruins everything
Oh, my God.
about Tony Stark.
It's unbelievable.
It's terrible.
I don't know how it got made. It's so bad to me. I don't know who was like, yeah, this works.
It just goes against, everything that we learned for the past 21 movies.
Yes, the past, 12 years
Yeah.
of Iron Man?
There's fuck it.
Yeah, just screw it. It's all for genocide now.
So, yeah. Just unreal. And then Peter just gives it to Jake Gyllenhaal, who I really like in this movie.
Mysterio's awesome.
He's really cool.
I've always liked Mysterio.
I forget, does he die?
Yes.
Yeah, he dies.
Because he's like, Spider-Man killed me. Remember?
Right, yeah. So that sucks that we won't get to see him anymore, because he was really cool.
Or is it another illusion? Is it a
So I
super
don't know.
illusion?
That stuff was really messing with me,
Yeah.
because
The zombie Iron Man?
I knew
I
that
can
he
see it.
was the bad. That was cool. I knew that he was the bad guy, or at least he was the bad guy in the movie, and he was good at the beginning. And I was like, okay, so when does he turn bad? And then I was confused with the monsters and stuff that they fight at the beginning. I was like,
Yeah.
man, those are pretty menacing. And then it turns out that those are fake the whole time or
Yeah.
whatever. And that was
Drones.
yeah, the drones and stuff. And then the reveal when he's bad, I thought was really cool. He was he gives him Edith or whatever, and then it's Peter
"Thank
leaves
you."
and he's and then the camera starts doing this cool pan around, and he's like, it's that easy. And he totally switches personalities. And then as the camera pans around, you see the illusion
Of the bar and stuff,
deforming
yeah.
or whatever, and then he makes this crazy supervillain speech where he's blah 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 blah, and then what?
Well, he talks about with all the group how they'd all been slighted by Tony somehow.
Yeah,
the
and then-
one guy was the box of scraps.
Yes,
dude.
that was
I
so
"Yo."
funny.
Yeah.
And it even cuts to the part, and he's like, Tony Stark built this in a cave.
Right, and even that was kind of Vulture was a little bit that even kind of Tony Stark's fault a little bit, and Ultron Tony Stark's fault.
Right, yeah.
A lot was Tony Stark's fault.
And they're like, yeah. And he's like, now that we have control of Edith, we can make the whole planet an illusion. Great job, Tony.
Yeah, nice. We can. Well, it's kind of like a Incredibles plot. It's if everybody's super,
No one will be.
no one will be.
Love syndrome.
Yeah, it's kind of what it's got going on a little bit in Far From Home.
So yeah, there's a part where Peter goes to London, I think.
Wherever,
and he meets up with Nick Fury.
Nick Fury.
Yeah. And then they go and they have a meeting or whatever. And then it turns out that that's an illusion. And then there's this crazy illusion sequence where like
Yeah, a couple minutes.
yeah, it's like really, really like hurting my brain.
Yeah.
And then you think everything's cool. Like Nick Fury gets shot or whatever, and he comes back and he shoots Jake Gyllenhaal, and you're like, oh, cool.
Nice.
Got him.
Got him.
And then you're like, oh, man, cool. And then, oh, my gosh, that was an illusion
was the
too.
illusion.
Oh, my gosh. And then he gets like hit by a train or whatever.
Yeah. It's a cool sequence.
That was cool. Yeah, the whole like illusion like power with the drones. That's like a power, but like smarty power.
Tech, yeah.
The tech that was all like really cool, and the way they used it was like really cool too. I thought.
Yeah, I
it
thought
was
so
all
as well.
like just really sweet stuff. And the movie's funny. Ned is. Let me say this about Ned.
Okay.
He is the best friend. He is the best friend. There's nothing he wouldn't do for Peter.
That's true. He'd do a lot.
He does it all for the man.
Yeah.
He lies to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He always has his back no matter what.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes he rebuffs him because of his girl.
He's
Sometimes,
semi-preoccupied sometimes.
Yeah, occasionally.
But, I mean, other than that, he's just, what a great guy.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
And then we find out that MJ knew that he was Spider-Man the whole time.
The whole time.
How could she figure that out?
Only a dumbass like Flash wouldn't know.
Yeah, there's that one funny part where he's like, man, I love Spider-Man. He's so cool. And then, like, Peter walks in and he's like, what's up, dickwad?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just another little fun movie, I thought. The only thing that's, like, really important is, like, the end credits scene, which is kind of...
But is it?
We'll find out because, I don't know. If it ends up, like, not being important, that'd be kind of sad.
It would be, but I don't see how when it's never been a point of anybody's story. I
know, but they're like, it seems like they're going out of their way to make it a point.
Right, exactly, in his. Because you got
Spidey's.
all of his classmates in Aunt May, so that's who'd be, like, at risk or whatever. But would it even be really that hard to, like, disprove it?
I mean, they have, like, a picture of him.
I know, but, like, isn't there a lot of things that you could do? Like, I don't know. It's just a weird area because it's like you're living in a world where those monsters were fake. Why couldn't that just be a fake picture? You have these big elemental monsters that people are like, oh my gosh, it's a real elemental monsters. And even the people fighting them are like, look at this real thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you could have photoshopped that today.
That's true. Yeah, but I guess yeah, yeah. But I guess that's the thing is that everyone just believes it because Mysterio, like, made that while he was, like, tricking Spider-Man. He was like, oh my gosh, Spider-Man's going to kill me.
Yeah.
I like that part. I didn't see that part coming because there's that one part where he's like, I'm going to use my Peter Tingle.
Yeah.
And be able to fight through the illusion or whatever. And he fights all the things and he gets to him. And then he's like, Peter, no, please. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Illusion.
And then he's like,
yeah.
And like grabs the gun.
Peter Tingle.
That was cool. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I would have got shot in the head.
Well, you don't have a spider sense.
I know, but like the Peter Tingle.
I do like the idea of the Peter Tingle being a big deal in that one because it's a power of his that's pretty important to what he does, And I can't really remember how much of a role it played in the first one at all, but I'm glad it gets
I don't really remember.
I'm really happy that it gets such a focus in the second one. I think that's really cool. And I hope that in No Way Home they'll keep it as powerful as it is in this one,
Oh, yeah, because he goes nuts towards the end.
Because it's like, oh, something's there. I mean, like they did it in the original, like Sam Raimi ones, it's like, oh, it's basically like slow motion. He just goes, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hope they keep it at the forefront. Because that's the thing with enemies like Venom. One of the reasons things that makes Venom so dangerous is that obviously Peter used to have the black suit and everything. So because they fused, he doesn't set off his spider sense. So Venom can attack Peter, and it's just like if you got attacked in the back, he'd have no way of knowing. And that's part of what makes him so dangerous to him. I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's cool.
Yeah, Far From Home, it's an alright movie, except for the fact that they ruined Tony Stark.
It's a great Spider-Man movie, awful Iron Man movie.
And he's dead. He's not even alive. That's the worst
They
part.
do it
The
after
dude
he
is
dies, so
dead.
he can't even redeem himself in any way.
It's terrible.
They could retcon it, mate. No, they can't. They can't even retcon it.
It already happened.
It already happened.
Unless
It's
they
too
were like,
late.
that whole movie was just an illusion.
Right. Or if they said, like, oh, Tony didn't send that, somebody else. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know.
I also like the scene where Peter was, like, doing the hologram stuff, looking at his suit, and he was listening to, like, AC/DC or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it was kind of like the throwback, and then he was like, I love Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, we did it.
Yeah, I guess. If I could talk about WandaVision just for a second, because I have seen it, even though I shouldn't be talking about it. We were just talking about her in, like, Endgame and stuff, and how she kind of just leaves at the end of WandaVision, and nothing happens to her. She just starts studying magic. I would probably only be happy with, at this point, her character if they went, like, a Dark Phoenix route. And they're like, you know what, Scarlet Witch? She's going to try to destroy the world. She's going to do that prophecy
She would
shit.
probably do it, though. That's the thing.
Right. So it's like, have her be one of the big bads, you know? Because that could be
cool.
That could be a multi-movie thing for sure.
Yeah.
You know? She's supposed to be one of the most powerful people ever, like Phoenix, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a way that they go with it. And I would be pretty satisfied with that, especially with all the bad things that she's done.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You know?
I would be down for that.
I would totally be down with that. Here's hoping, right?
Right. So yeah, that was the first saga of the MCU.
We're on
And
phase
now
4 now.
We have phase 4 of whatever they want to do next, starting with Black Widow.
Yes, the
Whoa.
character who's dead.
Yeah.
I assume this is because Florence Pugh,
Yeah, her character's probably going to become like a main.
Black Widow 2,
Yeah.
you know, something like
Florence
that.
Pugh's
White
character is
Widow.
going to be the thing. I don't know.
That one, it looks, they have a Taskmaster, and it seems like that's going to be like Rachel Weisz's character, because they haven't, don't think they've had Taskmaster speak or anything, so it's probably her. That's going to be like
I don't
the
know.
twist, I bet.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
what else? And then we got Shang-Chi and the Legend of
Shang-Chi.
the Ten Rings.
Yeah, we got a trailer for that. Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll see if
That's
the
this year,
martial
too.
arts shit.
There's 4 Marvel movies this year. We haven't had one in 2 years.
Are you
and
planning
then
on
4
seeing
this year.
any? Let's talk about the ones we're planning to see. Black Widow, I do not plan to see.
I don't plan on watching Black Widow.
I'll probably look up a synopsis and just sort of keep up to
Yeah.
date.
Unless everyone's like, "Oh, Black Widow is really amazing."
But they're always like that.
I know, but like, I don't know. People that I trust.
Right.
Shang-Chi, I'm personally not interested in, but we'll see what the response is.
Yeah, honestly, what's her name?
Aquafina.
Aquafina? It's Aquafina, yeah. I kind of wish she wasn't in the movie. Not to be like mean or anything, but it just makes me feel like the movie's going to feel a lot like the rest, because it's like, oh, it's the comedic sidekick, it's the quippy one, you know? I'm just like, I'm not ready for this yet, again.
Okay. Eternals, I'm all in.
Chloe
I don't
Zhao.
even know what it's about. I don't know what Eternals is,
Me
but
neither.
it just sounds cool, and it's Chloe Zhao. She just won the Oscar. So I'll watch it. Sure.
Probably check it
Eternals,
out.
I don't know what it is, but I'm going to watch it. Spider-Man, might as well.
Hey, if it's going to have all the other Spider-Men and shit, and the Doc Ock and the Electro,
wasn't that the thing? Yeah.
Then I'm
if
gonna
they bring
see it.
back, the other Spider-Man, that'd be crazy.
Unless they pull a freaking WandaVision and they're like, oh, it doesn't actually matter at all. Ha 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 ha. Speaking of Spider-Man and just that thought specifically, I just had a thing that came to my head. When I was younger, I think it was like at Ollie's or something, some discount store. There were a
Okay.
few times where they would sell these boxes just full of comic books. And they would just be random, like issue 7 of this, issue 2 of the, just random shit that most I've never heard of. But occasionally you get like Marvel stuff in there, because of course they made a lot of comics. And I remember there being quite a few comics that I read, which was a team up of Spider-Man and Beast from the X-Men.
Oh, cool.
And I loved those comics. I thought those two together, because they're both kind of smarter, they're both acrobatic and stuff like that. They just worked really, really well as a team. And just thinking about the X-Men hopefully coming into the scene eventually, I would love to see a Beast and Spider-Man team up
that would be
in
cool.
the future. Because I just remember really, really vibing with that.
Huh.
I thought they were a cool team.
Interesting.
Or he could join the Fantastic Four, because that was another thing I was thinking.
Yeah. Then we get Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
From Sam Raimi.
Really?
I believe, yeah. So that one should be crazy.
I'm interested in that one because,
they can do anything.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want. Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor: Love and Thunder. That's the one I'm most excited for.
Probably, yeah.
I just want it to be Love and Thunder.
Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, 2022. That's
definitely gonna watch that. You have to.
It's gonna have to win me over. I don't.
I just want to see what they do.
Sure. Yeah. At the very least.
I want to know what they do.
The Marvels?
No.
What is it? What is the Marvels?
It's AKA Captain Marvel 2.
Okay. Oh, is it gonna have the little Marvel?
I don't know.
Okay.
But not interested. That movie's gonna have to win me.
This next one has like the worst title ever.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
I hate that. Because it seems like the title that would exactly be in an Ant-Man movie, which is why I don't like it.
So yeah, not interested really. We'll see. And then we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's cool. Sure.
Which is the farthest one off right now.
Yeah, 2023.
That's been confirmed. And then Fantastic Four, which hasn't even been announced.
Exactly. It's just like a little tease.
So, yeah. But I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be John Watts, Spider-Man director, I think, doing Fantastic Four.
Cool.
So, interesting.
Question.
What?
Do you think Adam Warlock could show up in any of these movies?
Oh, my gosh. If it did, it'd be Thor: Love and Thunder or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Interesting.
Probably Volume 3 because he was teased in 2.
That would be 6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
From the tease to the appease.
Interesting. Whatever. Marvel's going to keep doing its thing.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting just now that we've had like this super solid break, you know, because for 10 years it was just like nonstop. But now that we've actually had a break, it's going to be kind of interesting just watching people run back into how things were and get back into it. I wonder how people will react because it's already sort of happened with the TV shows. But those are so new. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. And the other thing is, how long does this go?
Exactly. I mean, technically it can go as long as there's source material, and that's not even true. They can just, as long as they can just keep making money.
Are they going to be able to keep any of the Guardians cast around for Guardians of the Galaxy 4?
I don't know.
Because eventually you're not going to you already don't have Iron Man and Captain America.
Yep, they're gone.
So they're gone. You're going to be losing Hulk eventually, right? Unless they just recast. I don't know if Mark Ruffalo is going to do it for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
People are going to just age and stuff in general, you know? I don't see why people wouldn't be open to just making the new characters because there's a shit ton of characters in the comic books and stuff. But at what point do they hit the reset button like comic books do? Be like, yeah, the run's over. Now here's a new take. At what point do they give up on this huge universe and start MCU 2?
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
You know, it's kind of interesting to think that way. And then they could really have fun with it at that point.
Because now the first thing was basically just like an experiment.
Yeah.
And now they're like, okay, let's do.
But if they actually hit the total reset and they're like, guess what? Tony Stark is now Tonya Stark, and it's a girl. People can't be mad. They could just do whatever they want.
That'd be cool.
I don't know. It's just interesting. I just wonder who's making those decisions of when to pull the plug.
Wouldn't it be like Kevin Feige or whatever?
Yeah, I guess. Interesting position to be in.
There you have it, folks. Our full analysis of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The Infinity Saga. Yeah.
Awesome.
Pretty good.
Awesome.
Overall,
it's not better than Fast and Furious. That's all.
I have no opinion, but it's at least kind of Interesting. Okay. Well, reviews of the week time?
It's time for the reviews of the week, man.
Let's do it. You got yours?
Yep.
Let's hear it.
1 out of 10. A joke. Horrible. Can you say Shark Boy and Lava Girl? Let me take that back. That was a bad insult to the cartoon, as that is a much better written screenplay than this heap of rubbish. Save your money, and if you really feel the need to see it, wait until you do so free on the Comet/Nickelodeon channel in a few months. I thought this was a good one.
Wait.
It's going to be hard to guess that one.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Ant-Man and the Wasp?
This is for Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok? Wait, what?
I know, it makes no sense.
Wait, who's Shark Boy?
I don't
Who's Lava Girl?
I don't know.
There's barely a girl in that movie.
What do you mean?
There's Valkyrie and there's
Hela.
Hela. My umbrella. Ella. Hela.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was...
Alright, anyway.
Okay, here we go.
1 out of 10. Like most Marvel-based films, it is violent rubbish. You have to be rather short of brain cells to think that this sort of thing is where the film industry should be going. People who never die. Yep, lots of that. Can't the American Dream Factory come up with anything better? If you think that this level of violence is not having an effect on kids, you should step outside and see what it is doing to kids younger than 10, who I have seen stamp on their fellow children.
Marvel movies aren't violent, dude.
Still, you cannot expect parents to keep their children from watching this. Ah, well, the world continues down its black hole into oblivion.
I want to meet this person.
And so, like, violent. What's the most violent, you think?
What is the most...
What this person apparently thought was extremely violent.
Okay. Well, judging by the way they talked about Marvel, it's going to have to be one of the later films.
Okay.
So I'm thinking Phase 3.
What's the most violent?
Violent.
I mean, actually, I do know the answer to that one, probably, if you had to ask me.
The actual most violent one?
Yeah, because it's the only one where someone gets their head chopped off.
Yeah, I guess.
I'll just tell you it's not that one, though.
That wasn't my guess. I'm going to go Guardians in the Galaxy Volume 2.
No.
Damn it.
It was Winter Soldier. Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Fudge! That one is kind of violent.
It is. It's because it's less, It's
more serious.
It's more grounded, yeah. But yeah, I just like the line,
dang it.
You cannot expect parents to keep their children from watching this. And I was like, what is being a parent? It's like, how do children under 10 go see movies by themselves? When does that happen? I feel like you would know.
Oh my. Whatever. Dang it. I can't believe I missed that one. Frick.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, we do have an email.
Cool email.
You can email us if you'd like.
Did you know that? If you email the staglerpod@gmail.com, that's how you do it.
Yep.
Send us a question.
Send us anything. This one coming in says, hey guys, I'm curious if either of you two have read or have even heard of the Marvel Zombies or Deceased universes. That's a cool name. Yeah. It's exactly what you think. A what if all the superheroes somehow became zombies. It's rather dark humor filled bit of stories that you might possibly enjoy. Thanks for the show.
No, I've actually not heard of that. It sounds interesting. I wonder do they still have powers as zombies or are they just zombies?
I think they do. I think from what I know, I'm pretty sure they do. I only know a bit from one of the Marvel ones because I think they've done it a few times. But I remember Fantastic Four was like a big part of one because like Reed and Sue's kids get like eaten by zombies or some shit, and Reed goes insane, and he's actually like, you know what? These zombies are like a lot stronger than us. Maybe we should all become zombies, and he like infects everybody.
Oh.
And it's like Reed Richards like infects the rest of the Fantastic Four.
Nice.
Because he just goes insane, and it's stuff like that. So it gets like really the characters, get really pushed
Yeah.
to like their breaking points and stuff. It's kind of interesting. And I know there's also ones like just talking about what ifs in general.
Yeah.
There's that one that it's like Deadpool kills everybody.
Right, yeah, I know those.
Stuff like
Deadpool
that.
kills the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right, exactly. And they're making that what if animated
Right, yeah,
series, which will go into some stuff. You know?
I wonder if they'll do a zombie thing in it. That would be kind of cool.
They did have zombie Iron Man and Spider-Man, remember? So,
yeah, but that was kind of like... That's stretching, I think.
But they have something to go off of at the very least.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? But yeah, they could definitely do something like that. I think it is such... I don't know who came up with the idea of zombies for the universe, but good for them.
Yeah, just fun.
I don't think I would have ever been like, yeah, what if they turn into zombies? It's just not something...
Yeah.
Because I'd imagine a lot of their skin would just be like too tough to bite. Right?
Yeah, for real.
I don't know how it works. But I think all that what if stuff is pretty cool, and I hope that the animated series is popular so we can see more of it.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Yeah, it is cool. I'll have to look into that more.
Very, very cool. Deceased, no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
Zombie Superman,
Zombie Man.
how does that work?
Aqua Zombie.
I don't think you can beat that, because if he's Superman but also has the durability of a zombie.
Green Zombie.
Oh, Green Lantern, yeah. Wonder Zombie.
Zombie.
Zombie. That's a good one. Anyway, guys, next episode.
The next one.
So we talked about Marvel movies, which everybody likes. And we're like, yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of like, eh.
So why don't we talk about stuff that we like that most people are like, eh. We're going to talk about movies that we personally love. Maybe TV either. We'll figure it out. That we adore, but
Yes.
the critics or the general public agree that it's not so good.
My time has come.
His time has come, everybody. We will totally get into that, and that should be a pretty fun episode. Hopefully you find some that maybe you skipped because you're like, oh, poor ratings, There's some treasure out there under those 4-star ratings and below. We promise. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed all the Marvel talk.
Yeah.
I did. I'm glad to get it.
Finally got it out there.
Been
teasing the Endgame conversation for a long time.
Get it out there and over with. So we'll see you next time for that really cool conversation. But until then,
Gucci.
I was going to do a assemble thing or something. But you know what? Until then, Gucci.